evening, everyone. What's going on, LLC? To all the Luxes out there, how you guys doing? Good morning in some of you all's areas. It's 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, aka Tennessee time, aka Delaware time for Candace the Dum Dum. Candace, you have court Monday. How y'all doing? How's it going? I'm so happy to see all of you all. I had a blast last night. We was at it for 6 hours. 6 hours, y'all. I am dog tired. Okay. dog tired. But we were at it for 6 hours. We had a good time. We was in between watching Jay Witt put this little Verum somebody in check versus uh Paramount Tactical, who was having a open platform. I got the chance to speak there, and it's not in my live stream, but if you guys go to Gary's live stream, it would be my response will be heard there or on his X Space, because I couldn't speak at the X Space stream at the same time because it would have given me that echo. So I had a great time. I hope you all did. And we're definitely going to have a great time this evening as well. But right now, we got to get to it. How y'all feeling out there? Hit the like button. Okay? Hit that like button. If you are listening in from the Nicholas Brooks Esquire YouTube channel, hit that like button and show him some love. We appreciate him for coming back again to talk with us, you all. I'm excited. Candace has court Monday. So I want to know how this motion to dismiss hearing is going to go and how does this brand new attorney is prepared to provide legal argument. So let's get into this, you all. Without further ado, we're going to bring up the ever so lovely Nicholas Brooks. How you doing, honey?
Good morning. Good to see everybody. Good to see you, Lady Luck.
Oh, yes. It is a pleasure to see you. I want to thank you so much for coming back to speak with us, you all. He doesn't have long. So, oh no, what happened? He just left. Nick. Okay, we'll give him time to come back. But either way, I'm excited. I'm so excited to know what's going to happen Monday. Ooh. Here he is. Okay, cool.
Got disconnected.
Okay, you good? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good now.
Okay, cool. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, shout out to Nicholas Brooks Esquire. For those who are new to you, can you give them just a brief summary of who you are, what you do, what specialty practice you practice in law?
Of course, yeah. So I'm a lawyer licensed only in California. I
Okay.
primarily practice civil litigation rather than criminal litigation. There's sometimes criminal litigation comes up, but not all that much. And primarily with civil litigation, a lot of the civil rules are, similar by the states, and there's a federal rule book. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to provide some, context, some knowledge, some insight with respect to like civil rules and how that would work out in different court systems, including, places like Delaware, Utah, where Candace Owens has cases and stuff. So yeah,
Right.
that's kind of my background is I'm just a civil litigation attorney who enjoys more or less talking about the subject.
Okay. Sounds good. And so, listen, she's got court Monday, right? And she has filed a motion to dismiss. So this motion to dismiss is to dismiss the initial complaint and then they want to strike the amended complaint. How do you think that argument is going to go on Monday? Just kind of a rundown of what you think could happen, scenarios of legal arguments from the defendant, and then what type of rebuttals, even objections we could expect to hear from the petitioner.
Yes, as I'm like talking to you right now, I'm just trying to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that there's been no previous filing, like another extension, like another continued motion. The last continuance I see was on June 18th, 2026, according to the
Okay.
docket that I'm looking at. Yeah, but essentially what's going to happen, per my understanding, is Candace Owens filed a motion to dismiss with respect to a lot of the jurisdictional and venue grounds in this
Mm-hmm.
case. So what that means is that her motion to dismiss against this Macron complaint is
Right.
purely based on this is the improper venue. It should not be in Delaware. It should be in Tennessee. and then
Okay.
she presents different supporting reasons for that.
Hmm.
And then other things too is like you don't have personal jurisdiction to hear me. I'm a Tennessee resident. I'm not a Delaware resident, and so there's
Right.
arguments like that. Basically, that the Delaware court lacks jurisdiction and it lacks proper venue to hear the case, and that she would like it dismissed so that it can be refiled in Tennessee. Because ultimately,
Okay.
Candace Owens in this Macron case, her argument
Hmm.
is she's going to have to answer for this case, whether it's in Delaware or in Tennessee. It's just
Right.
what's in front of the judge right now. As you see, his name's Judge Sheldon Rennie. So Judge
Yeah.
Rennie, he's just
Hmm.
deciding, is this the proper jurisdiction? But if he says no
Okay.
and it goes back to Tennessee, well, at that point, they're going to have to actually hear the case in Tennessee. But I don't think Judge Rennie's going to dismiss it on these jurisdictional and venue grounds. It'll
Right.
just be interesting. And I guess the final point to point out with that is when I say
Hmm.
procedural grounds, those are different than substantive grounds.
Okay.
Substantive grounds would concern the merits of the case, the truth
Right.
or falsity of, can the plaintiffs, the Macrons, actually recover. There's no
Okay.
substantive arguments being made by Candace Owens. It's all just procedural. And I
Okay.
actually think, if I were her attorney, I would have filed more substantive things, such as you can't claim that being called a man as a woman is inherently defamatory. I would have moved to dismiss on some type of substantive ground, arguing
Okay.
that exact point. But her attorneys didn't. I don't know why they
Right.
didn't, but they didn't. So,
Nope.
that's the way things are.
Okay. So with the LLC and her incorporated and LLC, Georgetown Inc. and Candace Owens LLC, those are incorporated in the state of Delaware. Can you kind of give like a breakdown of how that will play a role procedurally with the judge maybe determining if the court does have that jurisdiction?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So whenever we're dealing, like, I guess the first things first is
Hmm.
companies or any type of business entity, whether you're an LLC, hey, just like your
Hmm.
show's name, right, or a
Hmm.
corporation, S corp, C corp, a limited
Hmm.
partnership, a general partnership, a solo proprietorship.
Hmm.
Generally, their registration requirements at the state level and the local levels, for each state. Like here in California, for example, there's the California Secretary of State that collects all the
Hmm.
business information that you would file if you were a registered business entity with the state. But there's
Hmm.
also local requirements where even if you're not registered with the state as a business entity, you still have to register with the locality. So I have to register with San Diego, the city of San Diego, and ensure
Right.
that they know I'm operating a business here. So one of the most
Right.
important things to understand first is each jurisdiction, which is each political subdivision. So here we're dealing with the state of Delaware. They have a right, to organize the businesses as they see fit, pursuant to their own state laws.
Right.
Here we're dealing with, this LLC that I think Candace Owens filed, her incorporated. Sometimes you see a lot of people have two
Hmm.
of the same type named entities just filed with different, different structures, I suppose.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all Candace Owens did. She's statutorily required to register these businesses. As per my
Hmm.
understanding, on these registration documents, she is the stated CEO. And
Right.
so, whenever you're the stated CEO and the representative of the company, and we're dealing with concepts like personal
Hmm.
jurisdiction, and that's one of the issues in the motion to dismiss, comes down to a lot of different factors. But one of the key factors is it fair to hear this person in this, jurisdiction for this case? Because
Okay.
if Candace Owens is reasonably able to present that, hey, this wouldn't actually be fair, for me to come to the state of Delaware. When I say fair, it's in the context of the Constitution. There's different case
Okay.
laws that can come up, but like, let's say, for example, I served you with litigation here in California, LLC, and then all of a sudden you had
Hmm.
never even visited California. Would it be fair to make you come to California? I mean, it's complicated, but that's really what the personal jurisdictions arguments come down to. Is Candace Owens is just saying it's not fair to hear me in Delaware. I'd have no connection to Delaware, But obviously, the plaintiff can shoot back and say, "What do you mean you don't have a connection to Delaware?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
businesses are named
Business.
after you. You're the registered CEO. There's all these different reasons that it would be
Right.
absolutely fair." And also, too, it's like, think about it. A lot of people, I would do this. Like, let's say you meet all of those fairness things. I would just kind of look back, and if I had a client in this situation, I'd be like, "Look, just say like
Mhm.
you can't financially go. It's too burdensome to buy plane tickets, to buy hotels. You can't financially do this." Well, she doesn't have that type of
Right.
defense
Yeah,
because
exactly.
she's a multi-millionaire times over. She's gonna be fine the rest of her life, and I think her husband's
Yep.
worth like $250 million or something. I don't know his true net worth. I don't really know him, what he does. But
I think it's
you
gotta
can't
be
even present those arguments. So I think she's
exactly.
perfectly fine with going to Delaware. She'll probably stay in a really nice hotel, some five-star
Yep.
hotel, and go to the hearing.
Yep. Okay, so with I guess if the judge goes ahead and proceeds with the case, what do you expect to happen next aside from discovery? Is that is that going to kind of catapult it a little faster through the court? It's still on Monday. I just, as an FYI, we have the court docket pulled up, you guys. This hearing is still scheduled for Monday. I don't see any continuances on the docket entries. So she is still scheduled for court Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So once the judge hears this, then the next step would be, of course, discovery requests. So what else should we expect aside from that?
No, you kind of hit it right on the head. Like basically, cases evolve in stages, and the first stage is the pleading stage. So the plaintiffs file their complaint,
Mm-hmm.
and then the defendants
Mm-hmm.
file their response. Their response can either include a motion to dismiss or answering the complaint. I didn't do it, deny it all, right? But Candace Owens didn't select that latter part. She selected to actually file a motion to dismiss on these different procedural grounds. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, this motion to dismiss. Okay, good. I'm back. This motion to
Mm-hmm.
dismiss has been granted twice now. So, or excuse me, not granted twice. It's been continued twice now. So the fact that this will be heard
Right.
on Monday is actually a pretty interesting procedural development. So I'm glad we'll
Mm-hmm.
finally, get this resolved on what he
Right.
decides. But ultimately, if he denies the motion to dismiss and permits this case to continue, Candace Owens, her likely in the order that dismisses it, will be ordered to file an answer probably within 14 days, I would say.
Okay.
And you can always download that document typically, like you see here on the docket. So I
Right.
expect the judge to order her to file an answer. She'll ultimately deny all of the allegations stated in the complaint. For
Okay.
and I'm talking it'll be like 30 different defenses. Trust me, maybe more.
Oh
Um,
my goodness.
and then that's kind of the way it'll work out. It'll file be forced to resolve the pleading. So plaintiff will present their pleading, which is their complaint. Candace Owens will be ordered to file her answer. She'll file her answer. Pleading stage
Mm-hmm.
is then resolved, and then we move into the discovery phase. There's not much that's going to happen or can happen in the discovery phase because each
Okay.
side has a right to gather evidence for their side. So if anybody
Right.
tries to rush the other side, the other side can just look at the judge and say, "Your Honor, you can't dismiss this case or do whatever you want to do because I haven't had enough time to get discovery to support my positions." So each
Okay.
discoveries are very important for fairness procedurally for each side to gather evidence related to their
Right.
claims or their defenses. So they'll be involved in discovery over the next few months. Each side will propound written discovery to each other. There'll likely be setting of depositions. And amidst
Okay.
all of this, there will be settlement discussions, I'm sure, that'll likely occur between the attorneys for Candace
Right.
Owens and for the Macrones. And it'll typically involve things like, all right, what's the number you want to settle this for? Each side will say, we think this claim is worth, Candace Owens pays $0. You can't recover from this. Macron side say, no, we can recover this. We got like 10 million on the table. So you need to meet
Mm-hmm.
us where we're at. And it's going to be like a lot of back and forth in that sense.
Okay. So there's a new attorney that and I see a couple questions in the chat. I'm gonna get to them in 1 second, you guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button on the Lady Luck Club with Sweet Tea. If you are on X, make sure you come over to Nicholas Brooks' YouTube channel, hit the like button over there, and let him know that you appreciate him and the insight he's giving us today. So there's a new attorney that was just entered on, let's see, he came as Pro Hoc Vice, Noah Balk from July 22nd. So
A couple of them, it seems like. There's a lot of orders, no, related to the Pro Hoc V chairs, or just one?
there are three orders for the petitioner and only one for the defendant. She just put in the certificate, motion, then proposed order, and then just signed the
Okay.
order on the 23rd. And when
Yeah,
you
for
have
for
these,
context, Pro Hoc
yeah,
Vice just means that an
yes,
attorney
thank you.
outside of the state of Delaware
Hmm.
affiliates with the local attorney in the state of Delaware. So,
Okay,
what I suspect occurred here, I haven't seen the order, but I think Candace Owens is represented by certain attorneys in the state of Tennessee. So, I
okay,
think that it's likely those attorneys in the state of Tennessee sought Pro Hoc Vice in the state of
okay.
Delaware, which requires them to actually contact an attorney in Delaware, state, I would like to register temporarily for this case. Can you help me out? And the attorney
Hmm.
that is in Delaware gets like a part of the fee too. And the theory is like that local attorney can help you with the filings and ensure that things go according to the jurisdictional requirements. Because the
Okay,
attorney coming in probably isn't familiar with like different
right.
rules of the court and stuff.
Makes sense. I was going to ask, would Catherine Mowry be considered the lead counsel, and then, Noah Balk be considered the assistant counsel to her since he's fairly new and he's out of state? Would that be how they kind of set that up?
Yeah, I
Can you
mean,
hear me?
ultimately, lead counsel, non-lead counsel, it
Okay.
doesn't really make a difference to me. All it matters is just like, do you have the authority to appear before the court? And to
Okay.
get that, you would obviously need the Pro Hoc Vice order. So long as you have the authority to appear before the court, that's sufficient. And then if you guys want to duke it out on who's leading this and who's not, that's up to you guys. Internally as like a firm or your own strategy. And then Candace Owens has a right to assert her own position. So it's like if Candace Owens, her attorneys are saying, hey, this is a good deal, you should settle this case. But, Candace Owens says no, they're going to have to listen to Candace Owens. She's the one that guides the, representation ultimately. Their
Okay.
attorneys are just there to advise her and let her know her options.
Okay. So there was a question from Carrie. If it's tried in Tennessee, will the court have to reassign another outside judge again for the same reason that all the local judges recused themselves in the Harpool case? I believe the Harpool case was limited to an attorney being hired and brought on, David Horowitz. Horowitz, am I saying that right?
Yes.
I think that was an isolated situation with that particular attorney suing the court. But I mean, good question would be if this was dismissed procedurally and the judge says, "Hey, you need to take this to Tennessee." How would that affect the timely filing limit with that matter?
Well, okay, so there's a couple things going on. So first things first, the judge would not dismiss the case for forum nonconveniens. Forum nonconveniens is just an old Latin term for meaning this forum is not convenient. Like the witnesses
Mhm.
aren't here, the evidence isn't here, blah, blah, blah. Procedurally, this would be tried better in Tennessee. If it's refiled in Tennessee, now here's the thing, is it filed in state court or federal court? That's a huge difference because when
Okay.
we're dealing with this Brian Harpel case and the David Horowitz issue and all those
Hmm.
judges recusing themselves, it's the Middle
That is
District of Tennessee federal judges that recuse themselves. And the
right.
reason they recuse themselves, well, it doesn't state in the order, but I suspect has to do with the litigation that was filed with David Horowitz, who's Candace Owens' attorney. And he
Right.
filed, basically, Tennessee had some local rules that stated attorneys cannot publicly comment on their cases in certain ways. I don't even agree with all those rules. I think Horowitz actually had a good argument for this. He
Hmm.
alleged that the court was violating his First Amendment rights constitutionally, that he's
Hmm.
still allowed to speak on cases per his First Amendment and provide that. And ultimately, the court, that he lost actually, and all that through the judicial system. But there
Hmm.
were rule changes at the legislative level that,
Okay.
vindicated Horowitz to an extent. So there was just some hostile litigation where he had actually named like four of the middle district judges and I think the entire court
Yeah.
district itself. But they said, hey, we're immune. Like
Right.
we're a trial court district of federal. You can't sue us. And
Right.
that was actually found to be meritorious. And I don't think it really got through the appellate process to actually be as
Yeah.
hard law or anything. It resolved itself.
Hmm.
But yeah, that basically Horowitz had a First Amendment issue with the trial court level in the federal level in Tennessee, and it's kind of difficult to orally represent. I wish I had some visuals, but yeah, just all we're dealing with is federal court, the lowest level of federal court. That's Horowitz issue, and that's where her
Hmm.
case is with Harpel. So if she files this Delaware case in the state of Tennessee,
It would be state.
at the state level, that
Hmm.
doesn't invoke the recusal issue because all the state judges are different than the federal judges at the trial levels. Trial levels just being the lowest levels. So
Hmm.
unless Horowitz has a previous history with these state judges or a particular state judge in front of him, I don't see that
Hmm.
becoming a real issue at all. If they
Okay.
file it in the state court in Tennessee, and then the judge says, or what was I going to say? With like, they say, oh, it's too late, statute of limitations issues. Now this case can't go forward in Tennessee. So, and let's say it's meritorious. Well, what could happen is plaintiffs could just say, "All right, fine. You want to pull that trick on us and make us leave Delaware and then go to Tennessee, and then you guys want to take this statute of limitations position to then get it out of Tennessee? You think you're being slick, but that actually
Wow.
violates. Because let's bring it back to Delaware and just tell the judge what happened. Hey, judge,
Right.
she said this wasn't the proper procedure. Tennessee was. We brought it to Tennessee, and then guess what? She says, "Yep, statute of limitations." And it's like she can't know. She's just trying to get out of this. So, judge,
Right.
you need to hear this in Delaware. So that's kind of like at an informal level, just quickly kind of giving an overview of the different ways this could develop. But it's a little difficult to see just in like an oral presentation. So I hope that helps.
No, it does. So I mean, it's good to hear that because that's the one when you're looking at these cases, I always try to, look at it from every angle. And I tell people that all the time. My godmother is a retired federal judge. And so I'm being taught to look at it from both sides. So what's the worst case scenario and best case scenario? And so if that happened to be the case, it's good to hear that they can go back to Delaware and say, hey, you said take it to Tennessee. We took it there. Then they want to come up with some hoopla. So we bringing it back. And then the court, the judge basically would re-enter the case and go ahead and proceed through with it in Delaware. Is that correct? Is I'm understanding that
Yeah, and I
correctly?
mean,
Okay.
ultimately too, I would suspect like this has to be filed in the state court in Tennessee, because if Horowitz is the attorney in this case and it's filed in the federal district or federal middle district, or I mean, I guess it could go in the eastern district. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. They wouldn't have would be proper venue. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think it'll be just fine. It has to be filed in the state court in Tennessee
Yes.
because if it's removed, and I would just say this, if the judge in Delaware is inclined to grant this motion to dismiss on these procedural grounds, I would
Hmm.
tell the judge, if I were the attorneys for the Macrones, I would be like, look, Your Honor, this has to be filed in the state court in Tennessee per our understanding, because if they file in the middle district, this is the judges are going to recuse themselves. And I would just make them
Yep.
actually say it's clear on the record. Where are you going to file this case? Go ahead, judge. I want them to state where they're going to file it, because if they say
Right.
the middle district in Tennessee, I'm going to object and say this is going to be cause issues. But if they
Right.
say state court, I'll just be like, okay, well, I guess we'll deal with it then. We could say, look, Your Honor, tell them that they can't in the state court in Tennessee present statute of limitations issues to avoid these issues before you
Correct.
grant it. And then the judge may look at them and say, all right, well, before I grant this, are you guys, if I grant this, going to present statute of limitations issues? And then if they say no, well, they better follow that, because if they don't, they could get in a lot of trouble
Okay.
later.
Yay. Could they be admonished? Would they get admonishment? Sanctioned or what? How would that go if they were to do
Yeah,
that?
I mean, ultimately, it would just be a bad look. Like they would get refiled, and it would get later refiled in Delaware in a scenario like that. And then
Okay.
rather than sanctions, I think the judge would just look disfavorably upon them, because like they would lose a lot of credibility with respect to like asserting their positions in truth and good faith. Because like, I
Hmm.
mean, look, if you're a lawyer, like sure, you have to do a little bit of advocacy and argue your client's position. But also
Right.
too, it's like you don't want to cross the line and be like lying to the judge,
Right.
or anything like. I mean, you got
Because
to always
Candace
stay
lies.
truthful. Actually, what?
Exactly. I said because Candace lies all the time. She'll lie to a
Yeah,
judge, but her attorneys need to be what they are, be her counsel. They're supposed to give her legal counsel and help her understand what's going on. And so, you know, her history of lying, I just hope that her attorneys aren't weak, spineless, and then they start resorting to those types of tactics and then think that, well, the worst that can happen is the judge is pissed off. But I mean, if they do it, it'll be hopefully, hopefully, if they do something like that, there's some consequences to it, because otherwise, this back and forth, man, we'll be at this. If they had to do all of that, we would be back at this all day, and it would take a whole nother 6 months to a year to get to another hearing, and at some point it has to move forward. So Mindy asked Nick what his thoughts are on what she said in the Harpool financial affidavits that basically debunks her claims in the Macron case. So, what was stated in the financial affidavits?
yeah. I'm not exactly
I'm
sure the
not sure.
financial affidavits that's being referenced.
I'm not
I
either.
mean, I'm sure probably there's some type of alleged corruption or wrongdoing with Harple, and so maybe he
Hmm.
filed these financial affidavits to rebut alleged wrongdoing. And but I mean, ultimately though, a lot of the Harple case involves alleged defamation per se because of his
Hmm.
improper overseeing of security. And again, well, take that back. I didn't state that right. You're there. Candace Owens and all of her followers and everyone else out there, you're perfectly allowed to criticize Harple for having done a bad job that day. Let's just put it like that. I mean,
Right.
he was hired for security and somebody died. I don't think that was a great result. However, there's a difference between saying somebody is bad at their job and then accusing them of intentional conspiracy to commit murder with the U.S.
Exactly.
government and military. So huge, there's a bit
Big
of
difference.
a spectrum, and she's on the one side of that spectrum.
Right. Right. And it's not even in good faith. She didn't give critique in good faith. I don't think she even initially looked at him or was pinpointing him. It was Mikey McCoy, and it was this person TPUSA, that person TPUSA. It was all kinds of things. And then it's like she went down a list and just checked off. All right, I went after this person, went after this person, this person, this person. So it's
And the
so
the
ridiculous.
problem is though, she's so famous too that it's like
Yeah.
you think about it. If you're just like a low level staffer at TPUSA who suddenly gets involved in this alleged conspiracy where you're
Hmm.
alleged to have committed conspiracy to commit murder and stuff, like it's really messed up because like she's so famous and conspiracies and information like that can spread so fast. Like, you know what they
Yep.
say, like a lie can spread across the world before the truth even gets its shoes on. And
Yep.
so like the problem with that becomes like how do you defend your reputation, because when the lies spread, there is actually a lot of financial and reputational incentive for these lies spreading, because it all
Hmm.
the excuse me,
You okay?
there's no bad press in a sense for Candace Owens. So it's like if she spreads these and destroys people's reputation and benefits
Right.
herself, that's good for her bottom line. But for the other people that are caught up in this, that face negative reputational consequences, it shows up in the form of like, let's say these low level staffers, it was their first job out of college with TPUSA because,
Hmm.
that's a great program to get. And then they go to apply for their second job, and you know what most employers do? They get an application, they look at it, and all right, let me
Hmm.
look you up on social media, let me look you up on the internet, see if anything returns back. And if you get a result back alleging implication in a
Hmm.
conspiratorial murder, like sure, in this situation, it might be so ridiculous that a good employer would be like, oh my gosh, like that is crazy. I'm going to ask this person about this, or that can't be true. Let me do a little bit more
Right.
research. But still, you put a extra burden on the employer to like verify this stuff. and
Right.
your name is now associated with these like heinous allegations. So I feel for
Right.
a lot of these people caught up in this situation that quite frankly are just low level staffers that don't deserve it, and they just
Hmm.
want to be a part of, like, whether you agree with TPUSA or not. It's just they want to serve them. They think it's a good cause, and like, what I mean. You can
Yeah.
do that. So
Right. So these people were, his staff were resorted to being doxxed. Their spouses were doxxed. These are private citizens just doing a job, and they had to, be subjected to harassment, doxing, bullying, targeting. He said that his employees' spouses photos were being put out there, their information was being put out there, credit card use. It's so ridiculous, and all for what? You don't have to agree with his method. If he believes that he did a great job, that's that. But we tend to sit here and forget that people make mistakes and are human beings. We come with flaws and errors. None of that is an indication that he is a part of some criminal, conspiracy regarding murder, unaliving someone. That is a crime in and of itself, to actually aid in the cover up of a crime. That's a crime. So for someone to be accused of doing that, it's just flat out defamatory. If you don't have any evidence to prove that they're involved in the cover up of an assassination, that is still
yeah,
defamatory, because if you're charged with that, if you're charged with covering up an assassination, you're going to be charged with the murder, just like the person who actually committed the act itself. And so, and I said this while we were with the Whole Truth with Gil, and he's a criminal defense attorney, and he was like, it's just absurd that people are just making these baseless claims to that level, to where now you've had this interference for Brian Harpo to be able to make money. It is tort. Is that correct? Tort interference. So,
well,
is that tort claim?
defamation is a tort. Yes.
Tort. Okay. So he's lost money. He's lost contracts. He's lost deals. He's lost opportunities for his business to grow. It's and she's not going to like give him any money that he's lost or anything. So how does he recover it? He has to sue to recover that loss. And it's that's where it is. But if she would have just left it at a critique and said, I think they should have did this, and this, and left it at that, we wouldn't be here with her having now facing a federal lawsuit from him. But
Yeah, I mean, it even comes down to things like they allege he didn't call the ambulance in time, and that Charlie Kirk made it to the hospital late.
crazy.
I bet a deal, yes, Charlie Kirk was dead in about 10 seconds after he was killed or shot. Like, it was pretty right
Yeah.
there. So unfortunately, that's
Yeah.
just the way it worked out. But it's just kind of one of those things where the alleged wrongdoing is also implicated with the inherent job of being a security person, because like in security your
Hmm.
job is to keep people safe, and so whenever you're alleged to engage in a conspiracy like this, that doesn't keep people safe, and it actually goes inherently to the job, and so it's
Hmm.
harming you from a professional reputational standpoint
Right.
specifically tied to like the services you provide. And so it's not just like, oh, it's defamation outside of a context of professional conduct. It's like, no, if your job is to keep people safe, but you're actually being alleged to do the exact opposite of keeping people safe and
Hmm.
intentionally involved in conspiracies to, unalive them, murder them. Okay, that's where you're harming their professional reputation, and yeah, they're going to
Right.
be able to recover for the lost, income and things like that. However,
Hmm.
Candace Owens can always say, look, what income would you have ever had? This happened under
Right.
your watch. Like, you think, I mean, you're done. You need to go find a different career. So there's going to
Hmm.
be defenses too that she can present. But like, yeah, it brings up a lot of interesting, you know,
Right.
uh, doctrines to say the least.
So, and with the Harpool case, this matter has now gone up to the Sixth Circuit. Are they going to reassign? Because I can't say I was a little bit confused with that. Is the Sixth Circuit going to reassign the case to another district in Tennessee, or is it going to stay on the Sixth Circuit level?
So yeah, what's actually occurred here is generally You have the lowest level, which is the trial level, and then the
Right.
second level, because like if the trials, let's say there's a judgment. To appeal it, you go up a level to the Sixth
Right.
Circuit in
Right.
Tennessee. And then after the Sixth Circuit, you go to the Supreme Court of the United States. And we see all these different cases, on the news and stuff, national news from the Supreme Court. I mean, it's that's the structure we're dealing with. So what has
Okay.
occurred here is the Middle District of Tennessee, the federal local trial court, recused itself and gave the Sixth Circuit the power to hear this case at the trial level. So it's not an appeal. So whenever you say,
Okay.
did it go up to the Sixth Circuit? I don't see it like that. I see what
Okay.
happened is the Sixth Circuit has now done an irregular function. So, regular function is they're an appellate court. They hear appeals from the trial court. But now the
Right.
Sixth Circuit in this specific little case is acting themselves as a trial court. Now, who do they
Okay.
appeal to? If, I mean, maybe they just appeal it to the Sixth Circuit still. So you have like a local, or excuse me, what I think the Sixth Circuit's going to do is choose one of their judges to have them be a trial court judge for this. And a lot
Okay.
of these appellate court judges are formerly trial court judges. You kind of move up and stuff as your
Mm-hmm.
career goes on as a judge. But what I would
Okay.
expect is the Sixth Circuit chooses an individual judge to be the trial judge. So they'll kind of just step in place of the middle district federal trial level judge. And
Mm-hmm.
once that case resolves itself, if there were an appeal for whatever reason, I think it would still
Mm-hmm.
be appealed to the Sixth Circuit. It's just a weird, irregular process that has developed as a result
Mm-hmm.
of this recusal, this mass recusal. So I hope that
Okay.
helps provide a little perspective where the Sixth Circuit comes into play here, but they could still be in play later at an appellate level.
Okay. So, and if the one of the judges, because typically with the Sixth Circuit in the appellate process is what, three judges on the panel, 3 or 4 judges, something like
Can
that.
be. It can
Yeah.
depend actually a lot on the what the
Okay.
judges themselves decide. They can look at a case and be like, "Hey, this is such an important case. We want this en banc." And en banc is just a Latin term for all the
Hmm.
judges. They'll have like 11 in front of you, like all the judges there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I actually worked for a firm who they had an en banc Ninth Circuit thing. So
Hmm.
I knew the attorney that was going to argue it, and I had to look up
Hmm.
all these judges and who they were nominated by, what they had wrote on this opinion and stuff. And then the
Okay.
attorney I was working with actually presented to like 11 of them. And, it's
Wow.
pretty interesting to get that. But sometimes it's just like one judge, three judges. So it can depend.
Okay. So my question would be, why not have the Sixth Circuit kick it to a different district in Tennessee, back to a district judge? Why not just do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, ultimately, it could come down to things even as simple as driving time, right?
Hmm.
Like, let's say there's a Sixth Circuit judge that lives, or in Nashville or something like that, or Franklin area, because I think Candace Owens is in like that Franklin area south of Nashville. A lot of famous
Yeah.
people live there. It's a very beautiful place to live in Tennessee.
Hmm.
So that's what I ultimately think it could come down to is you have a Sixth Circuit judge that
Right.
actually
Okay.
resides there in the Middle District of Tennessee.
Okay.
They just work for like the Sixth Circuit court there. I mean, like think about it. We have like a Ninth Circuit court here in San Diego, but like we're
Yeah.
also the Southern District of California too. So it's like you can
Gotcha.
still geographically cross over with each other. Versus if we sent her to the Eastern District of Tennessee, she'd have to be going to get like hotels in Knoxville, which is like
Okay.
2.5, 3.5 hours from where she lives. So
Okay. And then who? Let's see. I'm trying to think of all the questions I can ask. You guys ask some questions while Nick is hanging out with us. What do you think? As far as just the overall tone of the cases, like with the Harpo case, Mitch Snow was just served. Do you think he will actually go to court and participate?
well, can you give me a little context? Who is Snow again?
Mitch Snow is the co-defendant in the Brian Harpo lawsuit.
And what's he
It
alleged to
is
have done?
the same thing. His role in basically giving the false statement about identifying Brian Harpole and Erica Kirk on the military base of Fort Huachuca. So he was the
Interesting.
guest that she had on her show, and he allegedly stated that he was like 98% sure that he saw Erica Kirk because those eyes are unforgettable, and that he saw Brian Harpo go to some secret meeting on Fort Huachuca base to with some other high profile government employees to talk about covering up Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Have
So
you
he
ever
came on
visited
her
a
show to
military base?
I
Like, have
have.
you ever actually? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I don't understand what he's talking about because, like, we have like a naval base here in San
Like
Diego in Coronado, and he's like, I saw him go in. It's like, dude, were you hanging out at the entrance or something and like peering and watching them enter the base? Like, where was he? Where did he see this
allegedly he
alleged
went
like?
through the he claims to be a veteran. So he has some sort of veteran ID card, a DD 214 and everything. And I think he just went on the base and then he went to a building. He had a bag and they thought it was something in it. So he ended up having to be removed. But he stated that he was in a hotel taking photos and saw Erica Kirk and Brian Harple go to some tent. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all in the chat. Go to some tent where they had this big meeting about how to cover up the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Something to that extent.
Well, so
And
he
he
was also like
identified her.
he stayed apparently at like a hotel on the naval base, and he was able to do that because of his veteran status.
That's what he said. It was
Yeah, I mean,
some
it's
hotel
like
on the
that's a
base.
more plausible theory than hanging out at the entrance. But like the issue is
Right.
like it requires a lot of timing. Like he was looking out his window at the exact right time. I guess he caught the perfect image of them. So there's a lot of holes you could punch in, like in his testimony with that. But I guess you said he was sued as a defendant, and ultimately, like again, if you're accused of criminal conduct, like that is per se harmful to your reputation. Like if you accused me of a serious crime, and it would be harmful to my reputation. I could gain the right to sue you, and that's just what's occurred here. Is he's alleged that Brian Harple was engaged in a conspiracy, against Charlie Kirk, and that involved a crime, and so for that reason, defamation per se gets implicated.
Yeah, because he says something to that effect. Don't quote every word. So the candy's up and like don't quote every word, but he said to the effect on her show that he knew for sure that he saw them and said that Erica's eyes were, you never forget those eyes. So he called himself trying to identify them on the base. And she asked him what percentage was he sure that he saw Brian Harple. He said about 98, 99% sure, something to that extent. But it's like,
I would ask him
where
this:
is
if
the
I were the
actual go ahead?
Well, I
I'm
was
sorry.
just going to say, like his testimony, I think you could
Mhm.
cross-examine it and just say, okay, well, you say you're 98, 99% sure. What's the difference between 98 and
And
99%? Did you get like a different thing of the hair look? Like, what's that 1% difference? Could you tell me what makes that one? And then I would say, like, well, what angle were they walking? Were they walking like at an angle from like walking away from you, so you only see the back of their head? And just like make so that if you like really got down, and that's the convenience. They're not gonna get
Mhm.
into these details about how he saw. All they're gonna do is, I saw. Okay, there's the fact we need. Now just quote report it, if you will, and act like it's the truth. But like again, for to be a witness in anything, you actually have to have
Mhm.
personal knowledge. Actually seen it. And if we take his testimony and say, okay, well, you claim you saw this, but then also
Yep.
you're not 100% sure you saw it. And then if I start asking you the details, it's going to probably be something like, well, I saw the side of her head, and he said he saw her eyes and stuff. Okay,
He
well,
said
if you saw her
eyes.
eyes and they're so memorable, I guess if you saw her eyes, you saw her face, and then you saw the other face because I guess they were walking in the same direction. And hey, how did you even know who Brian Harple was? Like, he
Was.
wasn't a
Thank
famous
you.
person at that time.
Thank
So it's like, I
you.
guess you recognize later who he was after. You go, oh, yeah, that was the guy, And so, like, there's so many problems, when you, like, break this down. But, I mean, again, it just makes for good, juicy content because it's like, hey, this guy says he saw a criminal, and I'm telling you, they, like, what I think is going on, truthfully, is
Oh man.
and I actually think Baron Coleman. He's a good defense attorney in Tennessee, but what I think goes on is he and
Baron
Candace Owens have
Coleman.
a strong personal friendship and relationship, and a content creator relationship where he is able to feed her certain talking points that a defense attorney would make for defendants, and she then
Shit.
presents those, and he does
Wow.
a very good job. So it's almost like Candace Owens is getting the knowledge and insight of an attorney at all times, and it makes her effective for pointing out certain evidentiary flaws that could
Hmm.
maybe make certain jurors think, oh, this is a reasonable doubt or something. When it's like, look, this can be explained, but just by bringing it up and acting, oh, it's so bad, you get
Right.
caught up in it. Like I'll give you an example. I was
Good.
talking about like the body cam stuff in this Tyler
Hmm.
Robinson case, because they're like there
Okay.
was no body cam footage when they went on the roof. Why is that? And the implication that they're trying to draw is that the officer, I suppose, clicked off his body cam and then went up there and planted evidence because they're trying to frame Tyler Robinson because Tyler Robinson's a patsy and taking the fall for everybody. That's the theory they want you to believe, is that this
Right.
is all a nefarious plot and that the body cam should have been on for all these different reasons, and that by
Hmm.
virtue of it being off, this is actually evidence that they planted it, and this is more evidence of a lie, and it's all a conspiracy. Guess what, Lady Luck? They didn't have body cams 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So it's
You.
like, what
Thank you.
what did they? I mean, like, so it's like, how can you? I mean, why did we ever convince anyone, or excuse me, convict anyone before
Right.
body cams? Apparently, because if you ever went on the roof and found evidence, well, you didn't have a body cam, so we don't. You could have planted it, officer. It's like this is the most ridiculous argument. But the fact they bring it up is like it does make you think and stop, and then like that thinking and stopping and being like, wait, why wasn't the body cam on? Some people, it does click in their mind to think there's something nefarious, and
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not always
Everything you got.
sure how you certain people are different, but I don't know. Some
Mhm.
people, like when you present it that way, it can convince them something is wrong and that Tyler Robinson was framed, and a lot of people believe that.
Yeah, and man, this right here, this is what I pulled up the information because somebody in the chat said that's not what he said. Okay, so reading is fundamental and we do it here. Owens then asked Snow how certain he was that he saw Harpo at the Fort Huachuca meeting. Snow responded that he was 95 to 99% certain that he saw Harpo leaving the high ranking military meeting the morning of September 9th, 2025. So, what is it that he did not say again in the chat? Please tell me what I said. Don't quote me directly, but he said something to the effect of 99%. Do you all see 95 to 95% hit the vote? Because
I mean, I would just say,
obviously
I say,
reading is
hey,
not going to
Mitchell
mess with some
Snow.
of these people.
I just tell him, I
What
say,
is
Mitchell Snow, what gives you 95% certainty versus
right?
99% certainty?
It's
Like,
certain.
what's the difference? Like, what did you see that, like, that's a small, like, range, very interesting. I mean, why not just say 97%? Meet it in the middle, right?
I
So it's
know,
like
right?
really odd what he's doing.
It's like, how did you get more than 50%? That's my question. Because, the
Yeah.
burden
And then
here is a
ultimately, too, it's like,
preponderance,
what's
right?
the, yeah, I mean, and then too, it's like explain the lack of percentage. Like, okay, so you're 95 to 99% sure. What's giving you that 1 to 5% doubt? Tell us
Thank you.
that actually. If we reframe it, like, why do you have any doubt? And then maybe if
Right.
we show that his doubt, we impeach him that way.
Exactly. It's like, okay,
Maybe
so
his
you're
maybe his
95 to
doubt
95.
percentage
You
should
have
be
evidence.
higher.
You think? You would think. How do you not? He claims that he has photos and videos that he gave to Candice that she now is the owner of. He no longer has it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but why didn't they post this stuff up if they had it? Like, why would you sit on documentation like that if you know that you have something to present to prove that they were there? So they've never showed it. And then he's given this high, anything beyond 50 would be questionable to me. If it's 51%, it's questionable because the burden in this is a preponderance of the evidence. It's just more likely than not. So you at least have to hit that 51%, to meet that burden. He's up there in 95 to 99. How do we get there? Based on what evidence? So this is where he made the
Well, then
claim
also
against
too, it's like,
Erica Kirk. He said the same thing about Erica Kirk.
Well, also too, consider this. All right, let's
Mhm.
say he's got this 95 to 99% certainty, and that's fine, right? All right, fine. You have this alleged 95, 99%.
Right.
Um, if that is true, let's say let's just give it, let's just say for sake of argument that
Hmm.
what he saw is true. There are still alleged connected facts that also must be true, such as
Right.
he saw them, but like what was the reason they were there? And then all of a sudden he's like, there's like alleged certainty about that too. So it's like, think about it. If I
Hmm.
if I look out my apartment window and I see two people walking, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're going to Comic Con in downtown San Diego, or I don't know if they're going to the coffee shop on the corner. And so it's
Hmm.
like for him to say, by virtue of looking out his window and seeing two alleged people, and then to know exactly their specific intent on being there that day and what they're going to be responsible for the next day. And also,
Hmm.
too, it's not just those two people that are involved. The entire
Right.
network in which he's like, think about it. He's also alleging that the military, the U.S. military, are great
Is
troops.
involved.
That two, for some reason, like they vote for Donald Trump, and then they somehow have this conspiracy as the commander in chief, his own military is engaging in these acts. So it's like there's a lot of just weird logical connections that get made. But yeah, I mean, to think that the U.S. military is also involved in this, it's really just a huge political insult, actually, on your own
Yep.
like military
Absolutely.
institutions. Like, look, I think the military. I love the military, and the soldiers and stuff. Hey, I go out in downtown San Diego sometimes. Some of the soldiers sailors can be a little wild at times, but they're good people.
Yeah.
But it's like you never know kind of the things that can come up. But to allege like that type of wrongdoing, that just
Oh
crosses
yeah.
a line. You know what I mean?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And Nick, Jim has a question that says, ask Nick if any of the civil testimony can be used to bring forth criminal charges, especially in the
Um,
federal complaint from Brian Harper. Would any, if they have sufficient evidence, could they
what
forward
would be
that?
the criminal charge? I suppose like defamation at a criminal level. I don't know of any case in the United States where
I don't
somebody's been
know.
locked up for alleged defamation. Even though President Trump might want certain people for that, right?
No, no, I know he want people locked up. Oh, Trump, don't do it.
Be
Let me
like,
see.
hey, George Stephanopoulos, you're going to jail now.
Let me ask this: if there were perjury, would that be pursued in a civil matter, or could that transfer over to a criminal matter? Let's say she get up and her and Mitch Snow just perjure the hell out of themselves, and they lie in every
Oh,
facet of the
gotcha.
case.
Okay, perjured. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, perjury. You can be. I mean, that's like pretty much criminal, like contempt of court. So if you perjure
Okay.
yourself, you can. That's definitely potentially sanctionable action. Like you can put a person in jail for that.
Woo!
But no, just outside of like perjury, like she can state these lies and stuff, but you don't go to jail for defamation. Like you can be held civilly
Mhm.
liable, but not jail time.
Okay. And then, can any of the testimony in this civil proceeding be used maybe as an exhibit? Like, let's say if she did get a criminal charge, could
Yeah.
any of her testimony in that be used in a criminal matter?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Because
Cool.
um,
There you go,
for
Jim.
evidence law, any statement the party uses like
Hmm.
can be later used against them. So it's like she makes these statements at a civil hearing, and that's under oath too. So it's like it
Hmm.
carries a lot of reliability, even with the type of statement and the context it was made. And so, like, yeah, you could use a statement against a party opponent later at a criminal trial, and the prosecution could say, "Look." But the thing is like,
Okay.
why would she be prosecuted? You know what I mean? I'm just like, I can't give the criminal charge.
I
I
mean,
don't know
yeah,
what that would be.
the only thing I could think of right now would just be from that civil matter would be possible perjury if she perjures herself. But other than that, I haven't even seen anything. I think he was asking if the testimony could be used in a criminal matter if that were to happen. So if the testimony in the civil proceeding
It
could
could
be
work
used in a criminal
the
matter.
other way too. I mean, you could use
We could go
civil
the other way around.
cases, yeah,
Yeah.
statements in civil cases for then later criminal cases, or vice versa, statements in criminal cases later used for civil cases.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, do you think that she would be deposed? Or you think they're going to try to get a deposition out of her?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would depose Candace Owens. That'd be fun. Are you kidding me? I would have the best time. Be like, Miss Owens, we
Yeah,
finally meet face to face.
I know. I've
You're
been
like, you're
begging
better
for
looking
this.
in person than I thought. Something like that.
Oh Lord, we've been praying for this day.
I try to go in and look like her husband. You know what I mean? So that way she feels super comfortable with me in the deposition.
Do you think he's gonna come to court, George? You think he's gonna go to court in
Maybe,
Delaware?
but I mean, maybe, but like he may just see it as like, hey, it's not for me. I'll just leave it to her to do.
Oh, poor thing. What do you think if just ballpark figure that would I guess would be reasonable for Brian Harple and the Macrones to receive as a judgment? Just having read it through the information, looked at it, and you're saying, okay, if I were representing them, this is what I would ask for. What would that number look like to you?
What each side is going to ask for
Yeah. Well, what do you
at a
think?
settlement?
Will be what will be feasible that the Macrones and Brian Harple could be seeking for damages.
I think the way, I mean, this is just purely like, I don't have any insight into this, like truly, and it could go anywhere. Like it's a huge range. But if I were just in this and I was guessing, I'd be like, if I were the Macron's attorney, well, let me give
Hmm.
it to you like this. If I were the Candace Owens attorney, I would say $0, or I'd tell him maybe not zero because like you might not be perceived in good faith. I'd be like, look, I will give you $100,000 and this goes away. Now that's not a lot, but I mean for them
That's
that's
not at
nothing.
all.
Yeah. And then, but the Macrons may be like 100,000. I mean, the thing is Candace Owens, if she gives any money, it could be perceived as like giving validity to something. But also too, it's like to make $100,000 go to make this go away. I would be telling her you need to pay that. That is a good deal. Like if you can get out of this case for that amount, I mean that's going to be less than what you're going to pay me in attorney's fees for this type of case. So yeah, I would
Wow.
definitely say that. But I think the Macrons are going to come up. Their first opening number is likely going to be something like $20 million, I would say, maybe more. And then,
Okay.
I mean, it could be as much as 50 million, maybe. And then
Wow.
the other side's
Wow.
going to say, like, this is ridiculous. Like, we're not paying that amount of money. And then, there may be starting negotiation. But, like, think about it. Once you're in like 5 to 10 million, I think that's when it crosses into like Candace Owens, like, look, let's try our chances at trial since these people want to try to make me pay
Right.
millions. I'll just pay my attorney maybe $1 million or $2 or something to just prosecute this thing out. And then,
Okay.
I I think there's going to be issues that could come up. I mean, Candace Owens, it's not going to be scot free because discovery. There's going to be discoverable evidence against her, but also against the Macron. So it's like, I mean, she's going to be able to use American discovery tools against them, and they're going to be expected to comply as well. So it's going to raise
Hmm.
a lot of interesting, like mudslinging on each side the further this continues. And you'd think each side wants to get out of that and save their own reputations, and each side has a lot to save. Like, I mean, on one side you have
Candace
public
Owens.
politicians at the national
Right.
level, and on the other side you have Candace Owens, who takes a lot of pride in like respectability politics and stuff. So it's like, I think she's going to want to preserve her own reputation. So it's like a
Hmm.
game of chicken, right? Who's going to be the first one to
Right.
pay out?
Right. I think since they're bringing scientific evidence to court that would prove scientifically that Brigitte Macron was born a woman, I think once they see that discovery, it might be something where they probably request to try to mediate. That's kind of what I foresee as her attempt to try to get out of this by trying to mediate the matter. But for Brian Harper, what's the ballpark that you think that he's going to try to strive for with Brian Harper?
I mean, the thing is like with Brian Harple, I would say he probably can get maybe like 100 to 500,000 or something out of a case like this realistically. He may be
Okay.
looking for more than that, and he may have his damages figure in his head at like 5 million or something, and pain and suffering or mental, emotional problems that have come with like his reputation being destroyed. But like,
Hmm.
realistically, I think if he could walk away with like 100,000 to 500,000, he walked away with something and can kind of continue his life. But I think Candace Owens is going to push back and like try to drive up maybe some of his litigation costs, make him spend some money to prosecute this case, and then take the
Mm-hmm.
position that, look, you know what I'm going to argue at trial. I'm going to frame this as not me alleging you engaged in criminal conduct. This is me stating you did a bad job as security. She's going to try to frame it that way. Brian Harper's going to say, no, this went beyond just talking about my security
Right.
skills. This accused me of criminal conduct, serious criminal conduct. So
Right.
it's going to be how can each side prevail in framing the case for a jury.
Right. Okay. And then Tiara sent a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Tiara. What is the favorability for the Macrones in this case? What's the chance of you? I guess if they went to trial, what's the chances of them winning? Your
I mean,
favorability.
that's a great question. I don't, the favorability, I think the Macron successfully, like, I think this case has a high likelihood to settle. But if it doesn't, like, I think this
Okay.
case only reaches a judgment like probably like 10 to 15%.
Okay.
I think there's a high likelihood this case does not ever get to a judgment and there's no trial that ever occurs.
Okay.
I just think eventually each side's going to realize like my reputation is too much on the line, too much finances. Like each side's going to spend a ton of money, and there's no
Hmm.
guarantee of reputational success or meritorious success. Because like I think again the weaknesses in the Macron's case is like you know, if I were Candace Owens, I would say, let me investigate your guys' relationship history and stuff like that. How did you meet? Sure, there's scientific evidence and stuff, and they may push back and say that's none of your business. This is private stuff, it relates nothing to the case, so you shouldn't even go down that route. But I would just be like, no, there's certain reasons, and the scope of discovery is broad. Answer the question. Like that would be my position on that, because generally I have a right to know how two people met in discovery. Like I'd be a little bit, shocked if the judge actually sided with Macron's on that. And I just think when you start
Hmm.
opening up their relationship history and he was in like high school, I just think that could get a little ugly and like turn into some mudslinging type stuff. And then,
Yeah.
too, I think like the Macron's, like, again, look, I'm just being honest. Like, you can say a lot of things about a man and call him gay and call him a woman and trans and get away with
Hmm.
it, and there's no
Hmm.
reputational harm and it's presumed men are just tough and get over it. Well, the more equal we become as a society, women are going to face more stuff like this. They're going to be called men and,
Hmm.
butch and things like that, some of those terms. And it's like, that's just like, if you want to live in an equal society, there's going to be certain insults that get cast, and you can't just be clutching your pearls like the 1890s, Victorian era. And I kind of think of the Macrons like, look, you want to respect women and stuff, and I do, but like this is a little bit of pearl clutching to go up to a court and demand millions of dollars because a woman on her podcast called you a man. And meanwhile, we got James Tallarico in
Hmm.
Texas being called a transsexual every day in his campaign. You know what I mean? So there's just something
Hmm.
I don't want to like rush. Oh my God, this poor woman in the Macrons, like, oh, let's save her. And it's like,
You
come
don't
on, like
know.
I'd rather respect the American woman speaking her mind, even though she's might be a little moronic. There's just something off-putting, I think, about like just sympathizing with this pearl clutching is what I would look at it as.
Wow. That is something
I don't know
else.
if you have thoughts like that. I mean, I got a little bit more time. But that's just my personal thoughts. I would frame this as
Oh,
like,
I get.
ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you decide for the Macrons, you're going to set back gender relations 50 years. Like I don't know. I'd
No,
try to say something.
no, no.
Go ahead and set the precedent.
You say you might as well just set the U.S. Supreme Court on fire.
Yeah,
Blaze
yeah.
it up, man. Let's go. Oh no. You
Because
say you
like
about to set
I
the whole
said, I
all
don't.
women going back to the 1800s.
Yeah, 100 years. Setting back 100 years, and because like I don't know. That's been a
Oh
lot of
Lord,
my
have
thoughts in this
mercy.
situation. Uh,
Oh Lord.
it'd be a
Y'all, Nick
tough one
got a
to
little
prosecute.
fire up in him. Y'all see that little fire coming out of Nick? Oh, he over here flaming like a dragon. Y'all, we going in. Y'all, we going in. Well, I mean, in court. I think that was the worst part is that there's some reputational harm and it has affected her family, her kids. Because Candace also said that she did not give birth. That woman has 3 kids. She has grandchildren, and they've been harassed and bullied and targeted. So because of all of that, and this is like, man, you don't take away someone's motherhood. And I'm a mother. Like that's the one thing that I kept saying. Like, why would you attack her motherhood and say she did not give birth 3 times? What do you mean? What do you mean? She gave birth 3 times. You don't have to like it, But even if you say she got an S change, whatever, she went and got something put on her, taken off or whatever. She gave birth 3 times. That's not something you are able to even prove. She would have to bring that evidence to court to show that I have been pregnant 3 times, gave birth 3 times, I have grandchildren, blah blah blah. That's the big problem with accusing her of being born a man. You're taking away
Yeah, for sure.
her motherhood as well, and it's like that's the angle when it comes to that I know based on what I read that they're gonna take because this has affected her children, her daughters. I think she has 3 daughters, and they're like,
Yeah, I mean, and two,
"This
like
is
you
not
look at
normal."
well, look at the Erica Kirk when Drewski did that, I mean, kind of like a white face, like dressing up as a woman type stuff. And it's like, look,
Mhm,
that's his First Amendment right to go do this type of stuff. It can be offensive.
mhm.
I mean, look, personally, I'm not that offended by it and stuff. I mean, it's just like, hey, don't get offended if somebody else does it to you, Drewski. That's just the way the world works. But yeah, I
Right?
mean,
Is somebody gonna
like
get to
he
him?
pretty much made made Erica Kirk kind of look like a man in that, and the way because like, Drewski's a man himself, so it's like when he dresses up as Erica Kirk, he's going to present Erica Kirk as more manly, and like I think that there were some people that said this is reputationally harmful, and that Drewski should be held liable for some type of reputational harm to Erica Kirk in a situation. So it's like if you
Mm.
think that then you can't have it both ways. Then, like, all right, then Brigitte Macron should have a case. If you are inclined to think this for
Mhm.
Erica Kirk, I think you might be a person who's more inclined to think that for be sympathetic to Brigitte Macron in a case like that too. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, there's certain aspects of like being a woman,
Right.
such as motherhood and stuff, that like you would want to tap into and say like to offend somebody like that, is reputationally harmful, and you would advocate that way.
And see, this is the thing. I didn't personally when I saw the video and I was like, well, I just didn't get the punchline of it all. That was just me. So I know he's done other clips that were more entertaining. I didn't get the punchline of that. I just didn't get it. And I just felt like the time was off. That's why I said the only thing that I know Brigitte Macron could say that has been absolutely offensive with her being called a man is because it takes away the fact that she had 3 kids. And no mother wants to have to, like, that's not something you should have to defend as a mother. You know, you were pregnant, you know what your body went through. Labor sucks. I had C-sections. Like someone saying I'm born a man, you forget I had 2 kids, I had C-sections, I had a whole recovery period. I have babies. Like don't that affects them too because now they're having to fight dumb nonsense like, oh, this is not your mother. She was a man. Like you understand that can be scarring and it can be traumatic. And her daughters have been like, listen, leave our mom alone with that. You want to go out here and lie like on anything else, fine. But to say that she Candace literally said, those are not her children. What are we doing? So the same thing could be done with Candace being told, those are not your kids, you're a dude. But no one's trying to do that. Like, because I think most times us women mothers, it's just a certain line. We're just not gonna go that far. Not to that. Not knowing that we've gone through so much between, you know, pregnancies and labor and having to be up with those babies, take care of our babies. We're the protected defender. We carried these babies in our womb. Like you're not taking that away from someone's because you're trying to feed into some nonsense started by 2 people in France and a medium. Like that's just certain things just we don't need to do. It was not necessary. That's how I see it. It was
Yeah,
never necessary for her to even go there. So, but
yeah, and
I
I
think
mean
that was
too,
this
like
argument to me. Go ahead. I'm
yeah, and
sorry.
I mean,
Go ahead.
you saw the Josh Hokett at the White House, and he yells, "Michelle Obama is a man." Like Michelle Obama
Mm-hmm.
has faced a lot of like ugly critiques like that about her appearance and stuff that I think's
Mm-hmm.
unfair to her. And in theory, it would insult her as a woman to be called a man and things like this. But like you
Mm-hmm.
see the same people that don't support her or Obama politically, just being like, "Well, nothing to see here. That's just funny jokes." And then
Mm-hmm.
like suddenly they want to clutch their pearls when it's Erica Kirk and say you can't talk about a woman like this. It's too mean. And it's like, come on, guys, pick one. Like, don't lecture
Mm-hmm.
me on what's offensive to a woman when you're like allowing this with Michelle Obama, but then you like are clutching your pearls when it's Erica Kirk or like it's just analytically. I mean, I'm sympathetic and I don't want to like insult people. It's just there's
Mm-hmm.
analytically, it's like how to be fair too, because it's like I'll put it to you like this: when I was growing up in Tennessee, I know I get a lot of name calling with me being like a huge liberal, and that's fine. But it's like, look, when I was in Tennessee and I was even more liberal, like in college and stuff, and left. It was like
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that you get is like, especially a man and you're left, is you get called things like like feminine or gay and things like that. Like you're naturally going to be like called things that are emasculine, or they're trying to emasculate you for being like a
Mm-hmm.
left wing or a liberal man. And so it's like, how so if it's like, okay, if we call a conservative woman a man, so okay, the
Mm-hmm.
conservative woman gets reputational, like you can't harm anybody's gender or their identity. But if you're a liberal man, you're a go ahead, tee off, like that is a
Mm-hmm.
transsexual, unmanly guy. And it's like, I'm actually, because like I said, I will admit there are certain parts of me that lean left. But
Mm-hmm.
in doing that, and what I've had to encounter and the insults I've faced as a result,
Mm-hmm.
while I have sympathy in these situations, there is a part of me that says, why are you more privileged to have your identity protected than mine? You know what I mean? Like, I'm
I
still
get you.
here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still here doing what I got to do, and I don't get
Right.
softball gloves handed to me. And it's like, I think that's also an aspect of the equality conversation that we kind of
Mm-hmm.
have to wrestle with, especially when you're like in the public image constantly. And two, it's really one of the most difficult things because like a lot of people that have this conversation, it can still be like hypocritical because I still think that like if a man called Candace Owens or a man was like insulting
Mm-hmm.
her similarly, I actually think Candace Owens would sue that person and would probably like try to pursue that. And so it's like, wait, so you're the one doing that offensive conduct, but then you would also sue to stop it. So what do
Yeah,
you even believe? And
she
I could
doesn't.
see her do it.
I do too because she's hypocritical. It will be because I'm suing you because you're saying bad things about me, and you can't say anything about me, but I'm gonna say everything about everybody else. That's her mentality. She's a narcissist. So a narcissist will go out and just do it because they don't think they can't handle the heat, but they'll throw that heat on someone else. But she can't take anything in return. Now I didn't know that Erica Kirk was trying to pursue litigation against Drewski. Is she trying to
No,
sue him?
no, I don't think she's trying to pursue. No, it was just like some
Oh, okay, okay.
commentators made some points like she should, and I didn't think
Oh
she would be
wow.
successful in doing it. And I think she was offended. She actually released like some type of response video
Hmm.
to that video. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't think
like
she's gonna sue. I don't see Erica Kirk suing for that. Now she has an attorney, and I'm sure they would tell her, here are the chances of what this would look like and how it would go. I I just don't think she would sue for that. I think she would sue for what Candace Owens has said and done, and sue Candace for that because it has caused a lot of reputational damage, and even increased death threats. And that's something else I
well,
wanted to ask
criminal
you.
conduct too.
Yeah,
She's alleged
exactly.
like
Yeah, she
that's
accused
the
her
difference.
of aiding in the cover up of an assassination as well.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like once you're alleged, well, not even just a cover up. There's actually like some alleged conspiracy to have been involved in it and a part of the planning and execution of it. And so it's
uh
like
huh.
there's where you start crossing into alleged criminal accusations that implicate defamation per se.
Mhm.
But the other one doesn't necessarily involve criminal accusations.
Mhm.
Drewski. didn't accuse her of being a criminal. He just was making fun of her, dressed as
Hmm.
her for extra comedic effect. And like when you're
Hmm.
dealing with comedy, like a lot. Look, comedy is one of those things where it's like we all kind of get laugh at jokes that are socially kind of unacceptable at times to say in public settings, like, and that's
Okay.
just the nature of humanity in a sense. And he kind of did that, but he also has a more public persona, and a lot of people love the shock value. Shock value drives engagement and clicks, and so
Hmm.
like naturally, I see why Drewski was incentivized to do something like that. It just is what it is.
I got you.
I don't think he can
So
be prosecuted for it or
yeah,
litigated for it.
I don't think they're gonna try to pursue anything with him because that I mean it's a one time. It was one video, right? I don't know. I don't think it would be worth it me personally, but I think if she does go and sue anybody, she needs to definitely focus in on a litigation against Candice, and because she has sufficient evidence. Candace has a whole text where she was like, "If I see her, I'm going to ask her why did you kill your husband." She literally believes that woman killed her husband. And I wanted to ask you right quick while you were talking about the conspiracy, what are the chances that they're able to maybe pursue something along the lines of a RICO claim? Like if you're part of this civil conspiracy with all of these people involved, there's money involved and all these things. She's trying to say that there's LLCs being created and money being funneled through these LLCs. So could Erica Kirk hit Candace with a lawsuit that involves her being falsely alleged to be in a RICO type of situation?
I honestly, I would like to provide you with a little bit better answer. Like I've done a little bit of like some RICO litigation, but
Hmm.
truthfully, like it'd be kind of tough for me to comment on that right now. I'd want to actually do a little
Okay.
bit more research. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it goes back to, are you trying to recover? If you're trying to recover civilly, you're going to have to present sufficient evidence of the wrongdoing. And so, if there's
Hmm.
alleged conspiracies with businesses and stuff, you're going to have to get that type of evidence. If you don't have it right now, you better get it through discovery or your case is going to be dismissed. And if it's
Hmm.
like a criminal matter, the feds are only going to prosecute you in the state if they have probable
Hmm.
cause to do so. So, if that got implicated, like, and it's at that stage, you're innocent until proven guilty, but clearly
Hmm.
there's some type of evidence that the prosecution feels they have sufficient probable cause, to pursue criminal litigation.
Okay. So here's another question. How much more time do we have with you? I don't want to.
Let's go another 15, 20 minutes. I'm down.
Okay, cool. So here's another question. Candace stated that she has direct sources and contacts living in Erica Kirk's residential building, and that she has eyes and ears everywhere, always watching, always listening. Now, would you encourage Erica Kirk to go get a restraining order if you heard something like that come out of Candace's mouth? Would you say, hey, Erica Kirk, you might want to go get a restraining order, an injunction, or a protection order?
Yeah, no, I don't think it. I mean, to get a TRO, you generally have to show emergency circumstances to
Mm-hmm.
have that TRO, and the TRO would include provisions such as like, requiring physical proximity to maintain at a certain distance and stuff. And it generally you have to show some type of like physical or violent threat. And it
Mm-hmm.
usually comes in like a lot of domestic violence cases and things like that. You see TROs come up. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but no, I mean, in a situation like this, I don't think Candace Owens is presenting any credible threat of violence or, circumstance that would provide emergency circumstances. I mean, sure, there's allegations that I'm all knowing and all seeing and all watching you at the same time, but like, there's no real evidence that she's doing that other than just like saying that she can do it. But if she hasn't presented any of those
She's not gonna
sources.
present it. You think she would present evidence on that? Because I don't think she would show people that she's actually got people sending her information. Because she would be really telling on herself, right? If she were to do that, she
Yeah,
would
it's
have.
just the thing is you gotta like. So, if you're a creator, you can say whatever you want. But if you're going to have legal action taken against you, if the person taking it against you is doing it on statements you made that are designed to make you look cool, like I would sue the one, I'd sue them and I'd say, you're trying to violate my First Amendment right. And just saying, I mean,
Mhm.
Candace Owens might know one person, right, that might live 3 or 4 blocks down from her. I mean, just,
Mhm.
I don't really know who she knows. Nobody really does. But Candace Owens is allowed to go on, unfortunately, and say, I know all these people, and she might not have any clue who she's talking about, right? And just
Mhm.
might be doing it to try to get in a person's head. But you're allowed to do that. I can
Mhm.
go on my podcast, right, and say, hey, President Trump, I got people in the White House. They're letting me know. Guess what? Inside, I don't have anybody at the White House. And if President Trump tried to sue me for a TRO, I would just be like,
You just
I
gonna
just said
send
this to
Secret
be
Service to
cool. You know
your
what I
house?
mean? Like, yeah,
You
I'm
gonna
not
send-
implying any type of threat, fortune, anything. But it's like I could be like, yeah, I got ears and eyes everywhere. You ain't getting from me. And it's like, they're probably gonna be like, who is leaking information or something like that. But of course, it would just be a ridiculous claim with no
Mhm.
basis. And like anybody that takes it seriously, it more so reveals that they don't have the ability to judge credible threats than it does the person making the threat. Like I've dealt with clients who have this like
Mhm.
delusion that they're being like reputationally harmed by a couple YouTube comments or something. And I'm like, dude, you got to get over this. Like, if you're going to live a public life,
No, no,
you got
Nick.
to like not be so harmed by this. Like, you know how it is.
Nick said, "I'm look." The reality is, so let's add on to that. Since you we want some foundation, let's build on that. So now Erica Kirk has to get extra security details. She has received even more death threats, kidnapping threats, and add on the fact that Candace is accusing her of murdering her husband. And now
But are
people
those
are
are those
excited to work
tied
her.
back from a
Yes,
causation standpoint? Is all of that tied back to Candace? And can you prove that?
she said it out of her mouth. Candace said that out of her mouth.
Well, whatever Candace says, has Erica Kirk made any statements that my increased security is a result of Candace Owens, not anything else? But I mean, because think about
I'm
it. If I were
pretty sure
Candace Owens,
she
I'd
said
just
that.
say,
Yeah,
what's
she
up?
has. She said, I've had to get, she said, Candace Owens is accusing me of killing my husband. She's had to get extra security detail. Now, did she say that? I haven't seen a video of her saying it, but she said it. And she said that she has been resorted to extra death threats, kidnapping threats, people wanting to harm her. And all of that in combination, the context, when you add on to say that you have direct sources of contacts, people living in her residential building, along with all of the, oh, you murdered your husband, you allowed this to happen. You flat out bring that, harassment. People have harassed her. She has received death threats. Somebody's in jail for it. She's had to hire, I think somebody said, 6 extra bodyguards. She had to hire 6 bodyguards as a result of it. So, and then there's the NCRI report to add to that. But now that we have all of that in
Well, if I
context,
may, I mean, the
mhm.
thing is,
No, go ahead, go
it's a
ahead, go ahead.
causation issue too. Is like,
Okay.
yeah, like for example, say a person has a car accident, right, or
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature, or they get injured personally. Okay, well maybe you had like pre-existing injuries that were just like aggravated or something. So not all of your injuries were actually caused by this incident. You're trying to get all of your medical bills covered by this incident. But if I'm the defense attorney, I'm gonna say, look, what this really is this person's trying to get every single one of their medical bills covered by that particular incident when I can point at
Mm-hmm.
previous instances. What I'm trying to do is muddy the causation and say, look, you're trying
Okay.
to get damages as a basis of this cause. You're trying to allege you need increased security costs, and the cause of increased security costs comes from Candace Owens. I would push
Mm-hmm.
back. I would just say this if I were representing Candace Owens. I would say, look, no, your increased security costs come from the natural public focus now on a case like this that involved your husband, who was very famous. And like all of the conspiracies that develop not only from Candace Owens, there are also other content creators out there that push maybe even more conspiracies of this nature, and allege you of misconduct. Like there are other content creators that accuse Candace, or excuse me, Erica Kirk of wrongdoing and TPUSA of wrongdoing. So it's like if I were the Candace Owens attorney, I'd be trying to attribute, no, you can't just blame me for all of your problems now. Yeah, that's unbelievable. But she can try. It's just I don't think she would be ultimately successful. She might be able to recoup a cost. I'm sure Candace Owens has contributed to the cause, and she's an alternative causation theory. But to say she's 100% of the cause is technically not accurate. And how I'll prove that is this. Go on YouTube and search Erica Kirk, TPUSA wrongdoing, and there's other people besides Candace Owens making those videos that have thousands of views as well. And that's just the reality. So if I were Candace Owens, I would just say, sure, I might be a little bit of the cause, but I'm not all of it. And to try to get a TRO and to recover all of your security costs, specifically against me, you're really just trying to make me pay for everything that all the world is responsible for. That's how I'd do it.
Okay, so let me push back. If let's say, okay, well here it is. Candace has a huge base. She claimed to be the closest to Charlie Kirk. And so her so-called credibility in the eyes of the people that she's out here influencing becomes stronger because they see her having that closer connection. If at least 51% of the conspiracy theories and the defamation and the accusations of being a part of the murder and came directly from Candace Owens, the rest of the 49% are just influenced off of what Candace said, and then they parrot that. But if she's the 51% responsible, wouldn't that be sufficient enough to show more likely than not in a civil matter? Especially if you factor in the video,
yeah,
posts, messages, text messages, all the credible evidence. Even Erica Kirk flew to Tennessee, had a conversation with her for 4.5 hours, and then Candace came back after getting information she needed to correct her false statements, doubled down, and then continued to lie even more. And that put a bigger target on Erica Kirk's back. Wouldn't that be sufficient to meet that burden in a civil proceeding?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. I will say that, like, is it the preponderance of the evidence standard and you only need 51% here, or is it clear and convincing evidence? So that would be a higher one, like let's say like 75% or above. Ultimately, look, I do think that Erica Kirk can credibly say, and I believe this position, that that Candace Owens is exactly what we have here, contributed to damages. Okay, I do think that. I'm not disputing that contribution to damages. But if I were Candace Owens, I would say you're trying to tag me with the bill for all your security costs and blaming me for all of it, when I could look up about 10 other content creators who, to get clicks and views, are parroting the exact same thing I'm saying, to do that. And when you combine all of their views too, how does that equal to mine? And so it's like, I don't know what the exact percentage would be. You would probably need somebody with sufficient, foundation and knowledge to testify to that, whether it's 45%, 55%, maybe you need an expert who does that type of stuff. But like, that's what it would kind of come down to. And I think Candace Owens does a lot of crazy things and is, like I said, responsible for increased security costs. However, if let's say this increased security costs are $1 million a year, let's say it's $1 million. Well, and the causation, causation could be split up anyway. So it could be like, let's say Candace Owens found a third responsible, a quarter responsible, a half responsible, 75%. That's just up to the finder of fact. And they can the jury, whoever does it, can just choose that. But like, that would be the question. I think 100% can't happen because I think Candace Owens would present evidence of other content creators that are doing the exact same thing she's doing and stating maybe even more extreme views and, things of that nature. And they'll just show up things like the comments and what they say. So,
okay. So, if she were to pursue that, you're saying that what's reasonable to request would be, hey, here are the costs, but at the very least, Candace could be responsible for 51% of it, because she's providing 51% of that damage out there with the, false statements and the accusations and, causing, those death threats and kidnapping
Let's
threats to
reframe
be.
it this way.
Okay.
It
Go ahead.
again, it's up to the finder of fact to attribute like damages responsibility. And just to illustrate this example,
Okay.
imagine a 3-car pileup, like a car
Okay.
crash, and the plaintiff sues the two other drivers and says, "You caused my injuries." And
Okay.
after they present the evidence at the trial, it goes to the jury. The jury is then responsible for finding the percentages of fault of everybody. That's one of their actual job duties when they're given the verdict form. And so what they do is they look at the car accident and they say, "Plaintiff, you're actually 10% responsible for this car crash." So let's say there's $1,000,000. So if you're 10% responsible, $100,000 is out. You can only even recover as a plaintiff 900,000. And out of that
Okay.
900,000, we think that defendant A is 70% responsible for the crash, and we think that defendant B is 20% responsible because plaintiff is 10%. So they've allocated
Hmm.
all 100%. Plaintiff's 10%, defendant A
Okay.
70%, defendant B is 20%. Now,
Okay.
the way that they could have to pay is, defendant A may have to pay all of the defense cost, 900,000, but then he can seek contribution from defendant B for
Hmm.
the 20% that he was actually responsible for. But what you see going on is ultimately
Hmm.
the finder of fact they just picked it. They just said, "You're percentage responsible, you're percentage responsible." And so
Hmm.
what you're kind of doing is taking that evidentiary preponderance of the evidence and then crossing
Hmm.
it over with the jury finding. That's not always kind of the applicable way to do it. I would just say
Okay.
like those are two separate standards. The preponderance of the evidence is its own thing. It's just the
Okay.
jury and the fact finder would be responsible. So if you're able to successfully show that Candace Owens is 59.27% responsible, okay, well, you're able to show, or maybe 65% or
Okay.
70%. You just got to present sufficient evidence of that. And
Okay.
that itself, I think, has to be like 51%, kind of what you're describing. So it's a little
Okay.
complex.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for clarifying that, because it sounds like she would be better off if she does pursue something with Candace to then also add on, any additional as co-defendants. So that way, they the
Yes,
evidence
yes,
there is brought,
absolutely.
yeah, and they come to that 100%. Here's how we're going to get this covered, and then each co-defendant gets that breakdown. Is that what
And,
I'm
and and
understanding?
also too, even if Erica Kirk sued Candace Owens for this and did not bring in any other defendants, Candace
Hmm.
Owens then has a right to bring like third party complaints and bring in those different defendants and say, "You're
Okay.
liable for this, you contributed to what I'm being alleged to have caused." And so that's
Okay.
Candace Owens' way of bringing in these third parties, is to allege they contributed to it and that she's not solely responsible for Erica Kirk's, harm, which is increased security costs, for example,
Okay.
and pain and suffering,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
or
Cool.
emotional suffering.
Yeah. Mental, emotional distress. I don't know if that girl is going to therapy. It's a lot going on, and it's this type of insight that helps to kind of, when we're reporting. I know for me personally, to be able to kind of be able to say accurately, and have an understanding of the situation. So when she does sue, hopefully she does.
Well, the
Um,
question is,
kind of what they
where has Erica Kirk not sued? That's a better question because I
I've
think
been asking
everyone
that
can agree.
myself.
Well, Erica Kirk, I think, has a right to sue. I think if she brought a
Mhm.
complaint, it would be meritorious that I think it would advance through the pleading stage and then she could resolve it. The question is,
Okay.
why hasn't she sued? And the reason she's not sued is because sometimes you simply have to weigh the pros and cons of suing. If you
Right.
sue, what's Candace Owens going to do? First thing she's going to do is she's going to pull out this little complaint on her episode and say, "Look what I got. I got
Hmm.
this from TPUSA." And then she's a whole episode, maybe for a week or a month, on all these
Hmm.
different allegations. She might go paragraph by paragraph and flame it out for her audience. Now, her lawyers might not like that, but it will give
Hmm.
so much content to Candace Owens that
Mm-hmm.
like it actually like she may make more money through doing the
Oh
content
wow.
than what the security costs are. So it's like, think about it. If she airs this complaint that demands compensation for security costs, just by doing the at that episode, she may cover
Mm-hmm.
all of those costs and then just like, could settle out the case. So that's like the one practical question is Erica Kirk might not be suing just to not give oxygen to this, like, and to give this
Mm-hmm.
reputation, that it doesn't merit. Like, I think she's just doing it as a way to say, this is beneath me to pursue this. And it's not worth the money to give
Okay.
Candace Owens all this attention. I think that's what's really going on.
You think her attorneys counseled her with that and said, let's at the very least wait until the criminal matter has concluded? Do you think that could be a possibility?
Very, I mean, yeah,
Tyler
I think that's
Robinson.
an interesting way to look at it too. I think that could definitely be a possibility because once Tyler
Mm-hmm.
Robinson, or let's just say not once, but if, because he's still alleged, if he's found to,
Mm-hmm.
have done this, obviously all of their previous statements and things like that could, say, hey, you guys made a bunch of lies. However, what can they always shoot back? Well, there wasn't a conviction at the time we stated it, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, even though they made certain statements, it's like just because the jury found that doesn't mean like, you know what I mean? Their statements can just then be retroactively assigned untrue value. It's like
Right.
the truth at the
Right.
time you stated it, if you will, rather than the
Right.
post facto truth. Um, so yeah, it's a complex thing, but uh, I think yeah, Erica Kirk could definitely sue Candace Owens already for all these criminal stuff, but it's like the reason she's not is probably just more so the practical reasons and effects of doing it than
Mm-hmm.
like her own legal sufficiency.
Okay. And if she did wait until the criminal matter concluded, what that would that affect her statute of limitations? I think I
If
saw a
she
couple
waited for the
questions.
criminal,
Yeah, if the let's say the criminal
wait,
matter concluded next year or something like that, right? Um would there be an issue with the statute of limitations of her filing a civil complaint against Candace?
well, it's just I guess what is the relevance of the criminal complaint to the Candace Owens case other than proving that what Candace Owens previously said was untrue because the jury in the criminal case found
Right.
that Tyler Robinson was responsible. So any previous statements that attributed a lack of responsibility to Tyler Robinson are post facto untrue because he was later convicted. That's the theory. What I'm trying to say is the truth matters at the time you state this comment. So right now,
Okay.
there is no conviction. If I state that Tyler Robinson is framed, um, that's fine. I can state. I mean, I can even state that after the fact. He was. I mean, look, we got like Lee Harvey Oswald. He was never convicted. He was killed. But it's like people still state that, and even people that are convicted, they're still found
Hmm.
to like, people are like, well, he was actually framed and stuff. Like
Hmm.
you're allowed to do that. Ultimately, you got to remember this: you cannot
Okay.
accuse others of criminal conduct. It doesn't come
Right.
down to he's not responsible. That we're going to sue. No, you don't accuse people of criminal conduct. If you're accusing
Okay.
Erica Kirk of being involved in criminal conduct and involved in plots to kill her husband and stuff like that, you can sure use evidence that okay, Tyler Robinson was the one who did it allegedly. Let's make sure we disclose that
Yeah.
later and say, yeah, he was proven to have done it and all that was garbage. But that doesn't get to the mental part you want to get to when you're getting to defamation. And that's like
Yes.
you are stating falsities and knew them to be false at the time you stated them.
Right.
That's the
Okay.
heart of what we want to get to. And so if there's any type of opening where somebody could say, well, I didn't know it was false at the time I stated it, that gives them a defense to the charge.
Okay. There you I got you. Got you. Got you. Thank you for clarifying that. And we got a super that came in. You guys, Nick said we can go 15 to what 5 more minutes left. We got 5 more minutes.
Sure, sure, yeah.
Uh okay, cool. So Mindy sent the $5 super and said Nick Candace Owens was under a TPUSA NDA with disparaging clause and under other contracts that she was being paid for. Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I would
Okay.
say to that is like, of course, she signed a contract, so Erica Kirk could sue
For
for
breach.
disparaging comments based on the contract and alleged breach of contract.
Mhm.
So Erica Kirk has that cause of action right now. Why she not brought
Right.
it? Maybe because she just doesn't want to put oxygen to this. Not
Mhm.
only is there this disparaging breach of contract theory you could bring, you could do count one, breach of contract, count
Mhm.
two, defamation, which is a tort. So you're going to
Right.
recover in contract and you're going to recover in tort. And you can bring
Okay.
both theories. Erica Kirk has both theories right now. She's not
Yep.
brought it. And the question is why? And I
Right.
posit to you all that the reason she's not brought it is because she does not want to give Candace Owens all this attention. Because of what is the first thing? Candace Owens has made millions of subscribers and a lot of money talking about TPUSA conspiracies. If
Mhm.
Erica Kirk sues her, very first thing Candace Owens going to do, just like she did with the cease and
Okay.
desist letters,
Yep.
like all of them do. Look what I got. This has sued me. She's going to make a ton of money and content off of it. And then two, it develops into this like the government's against me and power structures are against me and there's this us versus them mentality which she always seeks to have. So yeah,
Mhm.
I don't unless it starts to get even worse for some reason. I think Erica Kirk's going to maintain her position and let honestly Candace Owens' own reputation like eliminate herself from the credible content creator sphere. Because I think Candace Owens, if she's proven wrong by the Tyler Robinson
Mhm.
situation, you know,
Right.
in theory, she should lose credibility. She'll probably do something to spin it, and she's still got credibility to her followers or whatever. But like
Mhm.
ultimately, if your statements are later proven to be false or didn't happen, like if I make a prediction on Team A and then Team A loses, well, guess what? I'm going to be made fun of for having endorsed Team A previously. So I can see her
Right.
in that position.
Okay. Well, man, listen. I have enjoyed your insight. I enjoy your commentary as always. This has been absolutely fantastic. We have a couple other attorneys in the chat. Whole Truth is a criminal defense attorney, so he said I respectfully disagree. Oh man, we need like a mock trial. Well, we can have like
I
two
would want to
attorneys
know what he
come.
disagrees with, actually, like which
Oh,
part, because we had a lot of discussion parts.
Whole Truth. I don't know. Do how much time do you have? I could drop him a link if you want.
Nah, I'll be good for now. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure.
All right.
Hey, as a criminal defense attorney, he's probably going to have a lot of disagreements on how to like approach this. I mean, that's within
Okay.
his rights. Like each attorney has their own independent mind on how to think about something, and like, and
Mhm.
truthfully, like he probably has a lot more insight on certain criminal affairs than I would. So I'm sure
Okay.
he has like a very good perspective on how to pursue that. I just say from like a civil, litigation perspective,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
certain questions I have to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I would love to do like a mock trial. That would be so much fun so that people can honestly see kind of what goes on in the court and how different legal arguments could, help to explain a lot of, of what's happening with the evidence, the documentation, processes of how evidence is admitted. Like a mock trial can just kind of answer a lot of questions and bring a lot of clarity. So if you were down for a fun mock trial at the end of next week or the beginning of next month, please let me know. I would love to do one. And that would be, I think it would be a lot of fun, and it would give the audience a lot of opportunities to ask questions and to be able to kind of see how these various arguments are made in court. And so
Or even
let me
not
know
even
feedback.
just, like not even a mock trial, even just a three-way conversation on this stuff. Because like
Okay.
doctrinally, there's like a lot of back and forth to be had, and like I don't know, I've thought about the mock trial positions. It's just the one issue
Hmm.
you kind of get in is like you
Hmm.
then turn it into an advocate, and you're not as objective as you want to be. And so it's like,
Okay.
how do you want to preserve the subjective, objective, positions of
Yeah.
each person? Because sometimes like you got to go both sides of it, or if you're going to have an honest conversation in the moment. You know,
Okay.
you got to
All right.
recognize your
That'll work
strengths
with
and
me.
your weaknesses.
Absolutely. And I'm always here to learn, man. I've been, my godmother dragged me to a lot of mock trials that she did with law students. Oh my goodness. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So, but thank you so much for hanging out with us here in the Lady Luck Club. You know, you got to come back. Don't be a stranger.
Okay.
You got your business and everything, and practice picking up. I appreciate all of you all for tuning in. But you guys wish Nick Brooks farewell, and good luck to you. I'll be reaching out to you via email. I do have a couple questions I need to ask you, if you don't mind. And
Okay.
you know you're always welcome back, honey. Don't be a stranger now. All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I appreciate everybody, watching the episode today. And please like and subscribe, even on my own page.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys go check out Nick Brooks' YouTube channel. Make sure you guys go and support him and subscribe. And he is always open and willing to answer questions and cover information in his videos. And he does give a very neutral, both sides type of effect breakdown, where he presents arguments from both perspectives. And that is what you need to do when you are in court. That's how it works. So thank you so much, Nick, and have a great day. And please look out for my email for me if you don't mind.
Wonderful.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one. Bye now. Y'all shout out to Nick. Oh, I enjoyed the commentary. Listen, I love getting all sides perspectives. I really do, because I feel like it makes a very strong um, case, and it kind of helps you to understand what you can and cannot do, and then give you some pointers on how, like, if Erica Kirk sues now, it will probably be feasible for her to make sure that there are some co-defendants. That way, the onus and the responsibility falls as it should, reasonably, so that she has a greater chance of winning. Personally, I still think Erica Kirk has a very great, strong lawsuit against Candace, period, and TPUSA, and that she should definitely pursue an injunction for harassment. That's my 2 cents on that. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. I actually wanted to let's see. Oh, Drew said, thank you for your perspective, Nick. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dana. Thank you all so much. Let's see. I've been doing it's oh no. There's one thing you have, man, when it comes to being, when with interviewing attorneys, they always reiterate the rights that you have, free speech. They reiterate it. That's why I don't always get mad when I see comments that might disagree with me. But thank you so much. Oh, Jim, I'll check it. I gotta check my emails. I'm behind on my emails, you all. But what I want to do, I'm gonna drop the link. The whole truth. If you want to come up and chat a little bit, if you're available, because I would love to hear your counter with Nick Brooks, if you don't mind. Yeah, so if you're available, you want to come on up, come on up. Y'all, we got a criminal defense attorney in the house. Gil, that's for you, honey. If you want to, there's the link. If you want to drop in and say, give us your thoughts. We are here for it. There you go. Yes. Nick just left, says. He just left. He actually gave us some extra time. Originally I said, okay, we can do an hour. Ask all guests, how long do we have? And he said, I can do about an hour, because I know he has clients and stuff in case he has to get to. So here we go.
Hey,
How you doing?
good. I'm like a podcast here. Let me turn off. So yeah, so no, I just wanted to clarify with Nick. I think he
Okay.
knows more about defamation than I do. I don't.
Okay.
I handled 1 or 2 defamation cases, but they were not like really big cases or anything. So I'm no
Mm-hmm.
expert. I just disagreed with him. I think that Erica is going to sue. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, I could be
I
wrong.
do too.
I don't know Erica, so maybe it's not her personality type.
Yeah, I think
But
she's gonna sue.
I think and I think the reason she's not doing it now, the main reason is uh she doesn't want undue publicity during the Tyler Robinson case. I think she wants to make sure that the Tyler Robinson trial happens
Mm-hmm.
according to plan, which I still think it's going to be a plea,
Okay.
but uh, and then and then she's going to sue, and there might be statute of limitations issues, but there's ways to overcome some of that.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think her heart is just number one. She wants to see justice for the killer, and
Right.
then once that's kind of off her plate, then she would take on Candace. At least I
Okay.
hope she does. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my
I,
thinking.
I I say that every single time. I'm like, wow, she has a strong case. If it's an issue with, you know, the level of damages to pursue against Candice, if you got to add co-defendants on, then do it. But
Yeah,
I definitely feel she should sue Candace Owens.
yeah,
And if she's waiting right now, is because it can be a lot to be dealing with the criminal matter, and then you have your own major civil matter going on as well simultaneously. Because if she sued
right.
right now, she would have both to have to juggle, and
That
that would make
yeah,
sense.
that and also it's going to be publicity, and it could just be another reason for the defense of Tyler Robinson to say that jury pool is contaminated. We need to
Right.
change the venue, um, and other things. So I think her attorneys are probably counseling her if she wants to secure get the conviction for Tyler,
Mm-hmm.
hold off on it. And I've dealt with this as a criminal defense lawyer where my clients were basically they were charged with assault with deadly weapon, and they wanted to sue because it was actually self-defense. And I told them, like, look, I think you should focus on making sure that you beat the charges first. But yeah, your statute of limitations on suing them is going to run out. But
Mm-hmm.
um, it's a lot on your plate at once. So
It
that
is.
yeah, that was my thinking. Nothing, not that he was Nick is wrong about the law or his
Oh, no, no,
reasoning.
I got
He
you.
knows his stuff.
Oh yeah, he is very very smart. And that's one thing I appreciate with him. He definitely gives both perspectives, and
Right.
he gives pushback. He gives, what could happen, even on the defendant side with Candace. So
Yeah.
it at least gives a heads up to Erica to know that, to hear that information. And I'm sure her attorneys are also quite capable of helping her understand, the case from both sides, so that they
Right.
can have the pros and cons ironed out. Let's see. Someone said, who's asking this? If Ian Rogers said, if Erica sued Candace, would that not open Erica and TPUSA open to a broad range of information through discovery? Candace would be privy to so much information in order to prove each accusation. Won't you go ahead? Can you explain like how discovery works? Because I think people think that if she get her attorneys could subpoena everything she wants, and,
Uh,
and and there's a lot of objections that could be given. So can you kind of go over that?
right. So first you have discovery against the party, right? So you propound your discovery request on the party.
Right.
They respond accordingly. If it's insufficient, there's ways to compel further discovery.
Mm-hmm.
As for subpoenas, you subpoena third parties, and so that would be like
It's okay, yeah.
individuals other than Candace Owens,
Mm-hmm.
people that are not party to the suit that you can't get through normal discovery, and those will be objected to by whoever is being subpoenaed usually, and then also Candace. So the answer is yes, you will be entitled to a lot of discovery.
Okay.
Um, you know, it would have to be somewhat narrowly tailored. You can't just ask for everything that under the sun.
Right.
Has to be relevant, but certainly you are entitled to discovery. So I'm sure
Okay.
that they would get a bunch.
Okay.
But you
So
know
I'm
what?
wondering.
With Candace, I don't know if there's much to discover. She just kind of speaks out of her ass. I don't know if there's like, oh,
Yeah, she has no evidence to prove that what she's saying
yeah,
is true. And that's the
yeah,
thing. I mean, but when you go on in court, and correct me if I'm wrong with defamation, that lack of evidence and them saying that she made these statements, these false statements that are not true because they're not even substantiated with evidence, would be their way of meeting the burden, would it not?
Yeah, well, you'd also have to show that she knew that it was not true.
True.
And so
Okay.
that would be where the discovery might come in, is like if you can find some sort of communications between her and somebody,
Hmm.
not privileged, where she's like, can you
Yeah.
believe that I'm getting away with all these lies? Something that shows that she knows that she's lying.
Yeah. I think
Um,
she wouldn't that go to Erica Kirk went to Tennessee for 4.5 hours to answer questions, show information, correct the record, you know, and I guess that, and I even said this, hopefully that would help to show that there was some malice because she went out of her way to go to Tennessee and said,
mhm,
listen, here are all the false statements you've made. You
mhm,
asked for a phone record, some text messages or something. She took all
mhm,
that stuff to her, she showed her, and
mhm.
then Candace, of course, came out of that and just doubled down, despite what she was given and
Yeah.
despite what they did in an effort to try to get her to correct the record.
Yeah, I
So,
mean that'd definitely be persuasive.
mhm,
Yeah, I mean, you would present that to a jury. I think it's
mhm,
relevant, to say that like you're trying to show her the truth, and she doesn't want to hear it. So it's not like
mhm,
she's just mistaken here. She is willingly ignoring facts. So I
mhm.
think you bring up a good point. You're referring to the sit down between Erica and Candace that
Yeah,
Megan Kelly
yeah,
arranged.
yeah.
I came out with a video against that because I'm like, look, somebody
I
like
mean, I didn't like it either. But
I'm
I
like,
was like, okay.
you're not going to persuade somebody like Candace Owens. Like
Not at
she's
all.
not operating in good faith. If it was a good faith person who's
Right,
just wrong, then
right.
yeah, meet with them and show them the truth. But she's not in good faith. So
Exactly.
there's
Yeah,
no reason to try to convince her. It's futile.
exactly. I said this in what she went there November, and I was
Mhm,
like, man, unless she's going out there to just show evidence and documentation to be able to say, Your Honor, we went to her, we showed her all this information. Maybe
mhm,
they have the conversation recorded somewhere because I
right,
wouldn't put that past. I would record everything. But we gave
right.
her all this. She signed off, or here's a video, and she still doubled down and disregarded it. And that's
Yeah,
the only reason why we went out there. We didn't go out there trying to, we wanted to correct the record. And
yeah.
if she came out and lied some more, we expected that, but we at least wanted to show that we did in good faith. Go out and correct the record. That's it.
Yeah.
We
No, I
said,
think
let's
you bring
let's
up a
go
great
to
point. That's another piece of persuasive evidence in
yeah.
Erica's favor here.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, again, I'm no defamation expert, and I want to
Mhm.
address Mackenzie's question. But
Yeah, I was gonna ask her. Yeah.
free speech protections are pretty robust. But if
Mhm.
anyone has committed defamation, it would be Candace, because
Mhm. Yeah.
and just in so many different ways,
Right.
against, and not just against Erica. I mean, against so many people. So
Right.
I hope Erica sues.
Yeah.
I hope she wins, and I hope
Yeah.
bankrupts Candy.
I know, right? So into oblivion. McKinsey said, "What about anything for fraud and the fake receipt?"
Yeah, this is a good question because I've been thinking about this a lot. I do think there's cases against fraud. It's just fraud. You would need to show kind of a reliance on it.
Okay.
So when someone commits fraud against you,
Mhm.
if I just lie to somebody, or if anyone just lies to somebody, and
Mhm.
then you say okay, and keep walking on your way, you're not going to get anything. You have to rely on that fraud and then get damaged from it in order
Okay.
to recover anything. So um yeah, whoever, I think that the falsehood element is present in a lot of stuff Candace says for fraud, but then you'd need to kind of pick a specific victim that was targeted and show that they relied on the falsehood and that they
Okay.
were injured or damaged because of it in
Okay.
order to actually proceed.
Okay. Um. There's the. Let's see.
And
It's something going on with a photo. What it? Dirt Bike says they get everything so wrong. That photo proves that she wasn't at the military fort. All they keep yapping about is the kids in the photo is so dumb. Yeah, yeah, because Paramount Tactical put up a photo to prove that Erica Kirk was at home or she was with the kids or something like that. And Candace was saying, "Well, this isn't real because the kids in there aren't her kids." It's like, what? That's moot. It's irrelevant. No one's even arguing that. I think it was just to show that morning what occurred. She was in the house, and I think she has. I keep telling people this girl has surveillance cameras. So why why not just get the surveillance camera footage? You got her cell phone data. Like there's so much that if it came down to proving where she physically was located
Yeah.
on a specific date and time, there's ways to get that evidence that will be much more credible, concrete, and admissible. Like
Right.
it just
Rather than one random person with a criminal record, you
right.
know,
And
that
it
sense it's these people are. I mean, Candace is making laughing her way to the bank on these idiots,
mm-hmm.
and
No,
I feel there's gullible people out there, and it's no different than the type of people that buy
right.
a Rolex for $10 or off somebody on the street and think that they're getting the real thing. It's like it
Right.
happens. There's gullible people that buy this stuff. It's crazy.
Right. Right. And that's Monday. I think the judge will. You let me know your thoughts on what you perceive to happen on Monday. But I think the judge will deny the motion to dismiss and proceed forward. What you
So
think?
I haven't been following the case. I've been focusing a lot on the Tyler Robinson case. So I don't
Okay.
know that much. This is the Macron case.
Yep. Yep.
And it's a motion to dismiss brought by the defense because is it jurisdictional, their arguments?
Yeah, jurisdictional. Procedure jurisdictional grounds.
And can you give me a gist of their main points in the motion?
Well, they're saying basically, the Candace Owens LLC, George Tom Inc., although they're incorporated in the state of Delaware, you're saying this individual committed this act, you know, in Tennessee, in her
Mhm.
house, in her business. Her home is her business. So the court does not have jurisdiction because of that. If you're saying she defamed you, then you would need to pursue this matter in Tennessee because that's where she defamed you. That's where her business is, despite
Yeah.
the LLC and Georgetown Inc. being incorporated in Delaware. But
Yeah, it
but
doesn't sound very convincing to
it's
me
not. It's not.
because in particular, when you're broadcasting, it's where you're individually present. I don't think is that significant.
Not on the internet.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they brought it in Delaware, yeah, because that's where the companies are incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it sounds to me like at best what they would get if somehow they succeeded is it will just have to be refiled in Tennessee. Um, so I don't know how much that would actually accomplish. It will
Mm-hmm.
definitely slow things down, make things harder for the Macrones. But yeah, just based on what you're saying, I don't think that's going to win.
Yeah,
But
and then they accused them
there's
of
probably there's probably a lot of technicalities and stuff that I don't know about when dealing with these international issues and
mhm.
jurisdiction. There's a lot of weeds there.
Yeah. And then in the point Nick brought up in the live was that, the judge, if that were to happen, the judge could then, be forewarned that hey, depending on where we're going here, we can't go to, the middle district. This is still a state case, but if we go there, then they can't claim now there's a statute of limitations. So
Right. Right.
you,
Oh yeah, and this would
you
be in
gotta keep,
federal. This is federal jurisdiction, so it
no, no,
wouldn't
no.
even.
It's state court,
Oh,
state
this
level.
is state court, even though it's
Yeah, it's Superior Court of Newcastle County.
Do you have the case number? You said that the motion to dismiss is on Monday.
Yep, the hearing is on Monday. Let me pull up the docket for you.
Sometimes they post a tentative ruling before the hearing, so maybe
Do they?
we could
Okay,
find the
so
tentative.
case number is N as in Nancy.
First, just remind me the superior court.
Superior Court of Newcastle County.
Superior Court of Newcastle County, Delaware, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see if I can find the tentative ruling so everyone can hear it from me and you first.
Ooh, Judge Rennie, Judge Rennie, Judge Rennie. Ow.
But yeah, sometimes they don't, but let's see. Opinions or no,
I'm gonna
I
put the
don't.
case number in the chat too.
Let's
While you're
see.
doing that, declassify reality for all says saying a person was seen at a base, it's not defamation. The problem is more was said beyond that. You can't just limit it down to just saying, "Oh, well, it wasn't defamatory to say you saw someone at a base."
Right.
But
Yeah.
the intent of what they said, was to further accuse them of being a part of a murder cover up.
Right.
So it's not just this. Oh, well,
Yeah. Just.
I saw him at a base, and that's it. That's no. Then the
But
judge was going to press on that more and say, "Well,
but I was curious to hear, and I think I missed this part. The fact that Mitch did hedge his bets by saying 95 or 97%.
95 to 99."
95, 99%. What did Nick Brooks say about that? Because I feel like that could be significant in a court of law saying, I never said
Yeah,
100%.
his counter was, "Listen, how do you?" Okay, so he said, "I would approach it on the back end." He said, "Why is there 1 to 5% doubt? Why do you have this doubt of 1 to 5%? I mean, you
Right.
talking about 95? Well, why not go for 97? I mean, he said it would it won't make a difference if you're trying to figure out like you saw these people, where you saw them, how did you see them? You assumed that they were going to do something, but you can't say that for sure if you weren't out there with them. So it's like, why doubt 1 to 5%?
Right.
So he said that just kind of opens up a can of worms of saying you had this high rate of seeing someone, and at the end of the day, the opposing, counsel is going to say, well, where's the evidence of this? I got evidence that my client was not there at all on this date and time and blah, blah, blah. So what gives you that high level of assurance that you saw these people? That's kind of, he said how I would approach that. And then why are you down it at 1 to 5%? Why not 100%? He said, it's just ridiculous. He said, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something I haven't come up with, but I feel like that would be part of the defense by Mitch Snow is to say, look, I didn't say 100. And it would be kind of hard to like, he could just be like, I was wrong, it wasn't a lie. But that's where you would find some things in discovery. If you could find some evidence that he knew that he was lying. I'm looking online, and according to the AI results, they don't post tentatives in Delaware,
Oh,
in
in
this county.
Delaware?
So yeah, we'll have to
Oh,
wait.
okay. Yeah. I got the court docket up here. It's still here. So I just think once the judge hears their argument, the defendant argument, and Candace lost 2 attorneys now, mind you.
Mm.
Plus, she just got a new one that came in pro hoc vice. So
How long ago?
it was last week, Thursday, 23rd, this past Thursday.
So you might see another continuance. I mean,
Oh
and
no!
to be fair, I mean it's Candace's fault for.
Oh no!
But to be fair to the new attorney, a week and a half is pretty hard to counter, to prepare fully for a motion to dismiss. So if I'm the new attorney, I'm asking for a continuance. So
No.
that's
Come
very
on, don't give her
likely.
ideas. Don't give her ideas. Oh
I'm
Lord.
sorry, but
I kind of figured if she tries to use that, wouldn't they have already filed for the continuance when they filed the notice for Hawk VJ? When they done both?
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. If it's they didn't file anything to continue it not by now, then the judge might just be like, well, why didn't you file something? No. This has been continued a few times, right?
Yeah, it's
This
the
motion.
third time. This is the third time. This is the third
Yeah.
court date.
So yeah, you bring up a good point. Maybe not. Maybe it won't be. But all I know is that if I'm hired by somebody and I have a
Uh-huh.
week and a half to oppose a motion to dismiss, I'm going to ask the court for continuance because that's a lot of work. And unless you
Mhm.
have like, I guess maybe if Candace was paying me those big bucks, then I would put it in. But
I want my $7,000, man. I lost my job too. I need that money.
man, it's
Oh
it's
my god.
it's ridiculous how much money some people have. It's
Oh
crazy.
my god. And then I have someone asked about, hold on. I'm just trying to go through comments.
Yeah,
Look
please
at
ask me
all
any
that was
questions
said.
also about the Tyler Robinson. I just posted a short on my YouTube and on X about how we didn't see any evidence of an alibi presented at the prelim, and if there was a good alibi with some corroboration,
Uh-huh.
the defense would have presented it at the prelim, and he
Right.
uh and so I don't know these people that are defending Tyler um more than his defense lawyers are. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're trying to get this man off. It's so ridiculous. It's like let this go through the court.
Yeah,
Let it go through the court. And I've switched over to Brian Harper's lawsuit
yeah.
because I saw a comment saying, well, what else was said. So reading is fundamental. We do it. I've gone over this lawsuit, but you can do it again. So notably during the December 18th, 2025, y'all see this here. Snow stated that he saw a congressman walking out of Fort Huachuca with several people, including multiple high-ranking military officials. Later, Snow stated the head of security there, Brian Harper, he was one of the people walking out with the congressman. According to Snow, he claimed he knew it was Harper because he has a gift for recognizing people. Snow said he saw someone with the same mannerisms, same crick in his neck, face, waxy look on his face, hand gestures, shoulder shrug, gait, approximate height, and criticized haircut. Brian Harper definitely walked past me. He gave an affirmative accusation here. So it wasn't
And
just this 95 to 99 declassify. You got to read the lawsuit filer. You're not reading the lawsuit filer. Read it.
right, so so he said 95 to 99, and he said definitely. So
Yeah.
it's
So
not just one. Okay, got it.
yeah.
That's a strong. That's good response.
So she
Thank you.
asked,
You cleared that up for me.
yeah. Owen said, no, not for you. I'm sorry. I was talking to somebody in the chat.
No, but that cleared it up for me too because I
Oh, okay.
just heard the 95 to 99 part,
Yeah.
and I didn't know about the definitely. Yeah, so that kind of cancels each other out. Responding to Mackenzie real quick, Gil,
Okay,
don't
go
you
ahead.
only get so many continuances? Just for
How many do
yeah.
you do?
Well, I don't think that there's like a set number. It's just you could have zero if you don't have good cause, or you could have 10 if each time you could actually establish good cause. But by the third or fourth, the judge is going to start being like, okay, well, what's the actual good cause right now? Now, normally a new attorney on the
Mm-hmm.
case, that could be good cause.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends how diligent they are. And you
Oh
pointed out they
man,
haven't filed a request to continue by now. So
they haven't.
if I'm the judge, I'll be like, that you guys have had every chance, and no, we're gonna do it.
So in this situation, Catherine Mowry has been on this case since day one, right? She, put together the motion to dismiss, motion to strike, first amended complaint, all of that. So wouldn't she be sufficient and capable to present the argument in the
Oh,
hearing on Monday? She wouldn't need the
oh,
pro hoc vice, right?
okay. So you're saying that Candace has had at least one of the same attorneys
Yeah,
throughout.
Catherine
Oh,
Mowry. Yep.
okay. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to strike what I said earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think another new attorney is gonna be good cause for a continuance. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because I'm like
So
three of them.
yeah. Plus, it's their motion to dismiss. It's not even like
Right.
so. I was getting that a little bit backwards in my head. They're not opposing anything. They're bringing the motion, they probably are not going to get away with asking for a continuance.
Right. Because it's like, okay, if you got to keep asking for continuances, then just,
Yeah.
withdraw the motion and then
You're right.
proceed with the counter or your response and keep going. Like
So
this is
actually, that's funny. You're saying that they already got 2 continuances on their own motion,
yeah. This
and it
has
was
been
them that,
rescheduled 3 times on their motion. It's her motion to dismiss.
and the rescheduling was from their side, from Candy's
Yes.
side.
Yes. The defendants have requested 3 continuances on this. This has been scheduled. This is the 3rd reschedule. So I don't know why they keep playing games with this. It's their motion. That's why I'm like, okay. The last time they rescheduled it, I said, why don't she just do a withdrawal of this motion and just file an answer? And then you can kind of make your arguments. They're still trying to get this dismissed out of this court. And yet it's caused this to be pushed back by an additional 6 months.
Well, I'm going to give her lawyers some props because that's some good lawyering. I mean, maybe I would be able to, if it's my own motion to dismiss, if I'm like really ill in the hospital, then I'd ask for a continuance. But to get 2 continuances for your own motion is hilarious.
And what would the judge say? Wouldn't the judge say, cancel it? What is going on? You guys filed this. I mean, wouldn't they be questioning by now?
Yeah, and if I'm the other side, I'm asking for costs here because this is their motion. We were prepared to argue against it twice already, and that's costing us money every time. So
exactly. Marimar says, "Hi Gil, what's your opinion on why in the preliminary they showed that video of TR walking in the interview room? He didn't face the doorway wall."
I think that was just corroboration that he surrendered.
Okay.
The testifying officer was talking about his surrender and what happened along with it. And so they just showed that footage to show that, there wasn't a whole lot of other evidentiary value to that video that I gathered, but
okay. Is there an interrogation? Did they have to do that? Or did they just kind of take his statement and sworn affidavit? How did it go?
You're talking about Tyler?
Yeah.
I think they Mirandized him when he showed up, and then he invoked his right to attorney, and so I don't think that they ever got any sort of statement from him. Okay. Unless I'm, I have looked a lot into it, but not 100%, so I don't want to sound definitive. I could be wrong, but I think he invoked his right to attorney, and he wasn't really interviewed.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. Declassify says Mitch Snow being sued. Yes, he is. In the Brian Harpo, he is a co-defendant. So I don't know if I'm going to drop the link here to court listener where you can look at the court documents.
And another thing is the whole Brian Harpo case, wasn't it also attached with Erica Kirk? Like, couldn't she intervene as a co-plaintiff if she wanted to, or was it kind of 2 different sets of allegations by Mitch and Candace?
It is, some of the allegations are applicable to both. So when they lay out the statement of claim, they, of course, filed they alleged against both, and then Candace had one that was not alleged against Mitch Snow. I can run through it right quick.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking to myself if Erica might want to jump in with Harpo in this case.
I thought that would be. I really thought they would both just do this and be, kind of. I get if she doesn't want to be bombarded with the criminal and a civil matter, but I actually thought they would file as co-petitioners because that interview basically, he's pointing out the allegation that he saw both of them there and they were there together.
I'm going to take a look at this and maybe use a little AI to summarize because it looks like it's pretty long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But seems interesting. I just saw a picture of Tucker Carlson and Bibi Netanyahu, so I kind of that
Oh
piqued my
Lord.
interest. What was going on?
Oh God. Look, y'all can have Tucker. I don't cover him, honey. He a clown. I don't do that. Sorry. But they are both being sued. Both Mitch Snow and Candace and her LLC and Georgetown Inc. are both being sued. And like I said, Candace has doubled down on what he has said and said that, what Mitch Snow said would be, in her mind, absolute no doubt that the US military is involved. Like
Right.
what? What did you just She said this in a bit, and people forget. Candace says these things in her pre-recorded, pre-scripted videos. So when you are pre-recording, pre-scripting, you have the ability to edit. And she doesn't edit out all of these false statements.
Right.
So the intention that she has, there's intent to actually go out and make these verifiably false statements of there because her shows are pre-scripted and pre-recorded. And she can
And
be questioned about that on the stand.
the other thing is that she's making money off of it. So
Right.
there's
A
also a
small amount.
clear amount of damages that can be considered oh man, what's the word? Like restitutionary.
Mhm.
Basically, all the money that she made from the lies should go to Brian
Mhm.
Hartwell. And if that can be quantified, then he could be entitled to all that amount of money in addition to his reputational damages. So it's not like she's just kind of a random person who's saying defamatory stuff and not making money off it. She's doing
Mhm.
it for money,
Right.
and I think that makes the case stronger.
Exactly. So you made money off of lying like hell, and it's lucrative for you. So people get charged with doing things, for money. Look at the David case. I don't know if you are familiar with David the singer, but
No.
he took this girl's life because she was threatening to ruin his career. So he knew that it would be more lucrative to get rid of her to maintain his contracts and all this money he was getting and millions of dollars he was making. So that's one of the things that the prosecutor has added on by saying, listen, you out here and you did this, you unalived her for the purposes of gaining and maintaining, your financial flow, your money. So you had
Right.
a lucrative reasoning for the unaliving of this girl. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the same thing in the Silver matter. You had a lucrative purpose to continue to defame. You were making money off of lying. You selling
Right.
merch. You got
Right.
t-shirts and cups and all this crap.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's
And it also kind of, not directly but indirectly, yeah, it gets to motive.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, in a civil case, motive is not really. It, it's more about getting to the malice behind it, to the
Mhm.
proving that she knew that she was lying.
Right.
So it's a little bit different, but yeah,
Mhm.
I see the parallel you're drawing.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
uh Declassified says it's hard to believe the United States military was involved in an assassination. In this situation, yes. But the
Against an
military,
American, yeah.
you understand that there are 4 branches of military declassified. So which branch? Because you're just saying in general, you understand that's 4 branches of our armed forces. We have Navy, Army, Marines, Air Force. So which branch? Because
And you,
it's so
and
broad. Like accusing them of doing what? Why would the entire middle? So you mean anybody that's in the U.S. Army somehow is involved? And any person you see that is a U.S. Army man, are you going to accuse them of aiding in the unaliving of Charlie Kirk? You see
well,
how
yeah.
broad that is? That doesn't work in court.
And what makes this so ridiculous also is like Charlie Kirk was not like anti-military, so I don't even get like the logic. Why would the American military want to go after a conservative commentator who's pretty much
Right.
as pro-America as you can find?
Right.
That it's just none of this stuff makes sense. But on
Uh-huh.
top, look, I'm sorry. I know in a court of law, Tyler Robinson is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But that
Right.
doesn't mean that us on the outside are not
Can't give
allowed
our
to use
opinion.
our minds and
Right.
realize this guy's guilty.
The evidence is lining up. It's the evidence that's making him guilty. That's
Yeah,
what it comes down to. I don't. I'm not saying like with Candace Owens and Miss Snow. It's the evidence that makes her at fault.
right.
It's that simple. It's even if she wants to go in and say, well, at the time I made the statement, I didn't know that it was a false statement. But then if you have videos and posts where you have doubled down, one
Right.
time is understandable as a mistake.
Right. Right.
Four times in two videos is not. No. Now you're doing this intentionally, and
Right.
because your shows are pre-scripted, pre-recorded, you've had the opportunity to edit these false
And
statements
and
out.
and has she even like issued any corrections, even like ever?
No, that girl
No.
never
So
issued not one correction. She, as a matter of fact, said that she would be giving information like the Egyptian plane data. She's never posted. You can't make this out. She said, "Now I'm gonna put that on my website. Y'all go buy a T-shirt and a hat while you're over there." Okay,
Egyptian plane.
where's the data? Where's that Egyptian plane? I want to see that blue Egyptian plane. I bet that one is real pretty.
Oh my God! The Egyptian planes. The maroon
You
sweatshirts.
can't make this stuff up, but
Whatever happened with the maroon sweatshirts?
I don't know. Because
She forgot about
green
that.
hoodies are weird too.
It's so funny. And yeah. I mean, these people that don't think that there's enough evidence just at the prelim, and we're going to see a lot more at trial from the
Yes,
prosecution. Uh,
yes.
they didn't even present all the. There's more stuff they have. They didn't even present like half the evidence that they already have, like the cell phone tower site
Hmm.
locations, more
Hmm.
surveillance footage that puts them in and around the area, testimony from the parents, uh, all sorts of other digital evidence. I
Hmm.
mean, and I could just go on and on.
Hmm.
Uh, and if that's not enough to convince you, then you're not somebody that can ever convict anybody on for any crime, because
Hmm.
that's more than you're going to see in any criminal case. I mean,
Hmm.
and I say that as a defense lawyer that I'm looking for holes and flaws and stuff, and
Hmm.
it's
I'm not
so
saying
some people just don't I guess like want absolute 100% certainty before convicting somebody, but that's not the way our system is.
it's just I, I try my best to like even with the information because I did ask Nick about the harassment behavior and all of that,
Yeah.
and and then asked with context with saying, hey, so she said this about having direct sources of context living in the building, but then now if you add on all the harassment that Erica has received since then, the death threats, kidnapping threats, plus her doubling down and accusing Erica Kirk of murdering her husband, being on military bases, being a part of a cover up of a crime, you know, all of that coming together. And then I asked him, I said, what would you think would be feasible? Would it be feasible or reasonable to get an injunction or a restraining order? He said, "Yeah, I mean now that and with all of that combined, I see a definite strong case. Even
Right.
for a harassment injunction or restraining order, those are civil matters. It's not a criminal
Well,
matter.
yeah,
So
and
it wouldn't be much they would need to do, right?
yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to what the judge thinks.
Right.
It's very discretionary, and that's actually the case in most of law. Is if you get a good judge, that makes a big difference. You get a bad judge,
Hmm.
they don't even whatever they feel like doing on a given day could be what happens. So it's not a
Hmm.
science. There's no formula you type in and then you get an answer every time. So it really depends on a number of things. So if it's enough for a judge to think that yeah, she has a legitimate fear for her safety that
Right.
justifies a restraining order,
Right.
then he'll grant it.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that maybe it'll be overturned on an appeal, but restraining orders aren't typically appealed in that
In that
sense.
fashion. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's worth a try. I mean, worst case scenario, you lose, but
Right.
unless you have like a super expensive lawyer that charges way too much, I think it's worth the try. I'll do it cheap,
Mhm.
Erica, if you're if you're watching.
Oh, she's watching. Hey, girl. I
I will do it pro bono.
I told her, I've said since December she needs to get protect your restraining order because Candace started saying reckless stuff about her then, and I was like, what this girl? Well, she's making her a whole target right now, and that's the thing. You can show this pattern of behavior because that's
Right.
what harassment involves. This repeated pattern of behavior where you're out, and you're constantly doubling down about her being involved in Charlie Kirk's murder and now she's calling her a welfare queen and all this stupid shit. Like, girl, what is wrong? How is she a welfare queen? She's the CEO of
And so,
TPUSA. How is that possible?
yeah,
Welfare,
and
what does that mean?
yeah, that's ridiculous. That's just stupid.
So
But
dumb.
I mean, all this stuff. You're right. It's like fun and games until somebody actually gets hurt, and
Thank you.
and it happens, and then it's too late. So
Right.
I really agree with you. She should try to get her restraining order.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, just use every legal process available.
Mm-hmm.
That's meritorious,
Yeah.
because Candace needs to be stopped.
Yep. Ian is asking, didn't Erica say she had been on the Egyptian plane, but not on those days? I've never heard her say she'd been on an Egyptian plane. What Egyptian plane? What's the plane number? Oh my god.
I don't really
I've
see
never
the.
heard it. I don't know. I've never heard her say anything like that. Erica
Yeah,
Kirk
but
very
I still don't
responsible.
even get what the point is. Oh, she was on an Egyptian plane. Oh my God, Tyler Robinson must be innocent. Like what? I don't see the connection.
What what Egyptian plane? I don't
Yeah,
think Candace even gave the real numbers of the Egyptian planes. Like, where's this data, Candace?
she didn't even know
Privately
that
answer.
UTC. She thought UTC stood for Utah time or something
Utah
like
time.
that.
Yeah. You can't say
That
that's
was a
why
good
I say
one.
Tennessee time because she's so stupid.
Yes, that was good. Yeah,
Oh my
she's
god.
hilarious. Yes.
I know. And that's the whole thing with this. It's like, oh, let's sit here and say all the things that Erica Kirk said. None of it is illegal.
Yeah,
She hasn't said anything criminal. Like,
right.
they keep bringing up this stupid argument. We talked about this on Gary Paramount Tactical's live stream last night.
Yeah.
And we had this woman coming in and talking about what all the things Erica Kirk lied about. In order for you to prove someone lied, you have to have some level of documentation. You have a baseline here. So
Right.
how do you know they lied about something if you can't prove exactly what they lied about? Where's this so-called lie at? Is it in a video, text? You talking about her dating somebody, but she said it was in New York. So you're taking something that you're misconstruing as far as the information out of context. You can't go to court with all that manipulation. The judge and jury is not going to be in the mood for all of that,
Yeah.
especially if you can just easily read the stuff and see that's not what she was referring to. That's not a lie. That's just you trying to call her one, but that's not.
Well, I
It's
mean,
also not a crime.
I don't follow every single thing Erica says or every single thing Candace says for that matter. That would.
Not Erica. I don't follow everything she said. I don't think she ever
Yeah.
said anything that was out of
But
pocket like that.
but I mean, it's just most of the stuff that they bring up is just completely irrelevant, at least to the murder of Charlie Kirk. I mean,
Right.
people's opinion about Erica, like whatever, that has nothing to do with the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Right.
I don't even get the argument.
She can't even put Erica Kirk at UVU. Like, I mean, it's, girl, this woman was with her mother, and see, hospitals have videos. They have surveillance cameras at hospitals. So, aside from that, and Erica Kirk's cell phone that would give coordinates of where she was at date and time. It's not hard for her to prove her location. It's
Right.
just ridiculous that she has to do that for a bunch of people on the internet when law enforcement sees nothing wrong because she's not in jail.
You know,
She hasn't been charged. She's not in jail.
I was when I was working at the district attorney's office. You know, a lot of time. I mean, not every time, but in a lot of
Mhm.
cases, we had so much evidence against the person that it's like everyone we knew that the person did the crime, but we also, you know, not all the evidence was admissible for certain technicalities, and it's good that defense lawyers bring those up. You know,
Mhm.
that's their job. But I guarantee everybody who's investigated this just they know that they have Tyler Robinson dead to rights here. This is, I'm sorry to say, and like there's there's no doubt in my mind that Tyler Robinson did this murder. We have
Right.
just every single data point that you could ever want in a case like this. Tyler Robinson did not do a good job of covering his tracks.
Not at all.
You know,
Personally.
and so I really don't know how much more people can expect.
Right. Oh, declassify. You just here to troll me or what? Because I get the sense that you're trying to troll me and Gil up here.
And I'm not saying she doesn't have First Amendment. I want her First Amendment rights. I just
I'm like, stop from what? Why does Candace need to be stopped? Stop doing what? Stop from what? Candace, if you coming in my chat, come in your real name. Stop from what? Because I always say I want her to keep on talking. She just give out more evidence. Why would we
right.
want her to stop doing? Like you just giving out more evidence. But see, here's the problem: you are also inciting violence. There's a man in jail for sending us a death threat to Erica Kirk. A man is in jail for that, and he was influenced by Candace Owens.
Yeah.
You have another
Yeah.
person in jail because of the same reason in another
I,
country.
I'll just ask declassify. Would you like to be falsely accused of murdering your spouse? You know, I
Exactly.
mean, is that something that you would be okay with? Because I certainly would not. And again, I'm like not a free speech absolutist, but I support her right to say all this stuff. But I can say she needs to be stopped too. So
I just wanted she needs to be stopped from inciting violence
yeah,
towards Erica Kirk. This girl's getting death threats and kidnapping threats against her and her kids. Why
right,
aren't you thinking about her children or her safety and protection? Declassify.
yeah,
If you're a bot, you're a bot. But I mean that you could compute that. Why not think about Erica Kirk's kids and their safety? Or are you one of the ones where you were sick enough to do something to them because reasons? You're letting somebody who does not pay your bills influence you on how you view someone. Someone who's never done anything wrong to you personally. I've never even met Erica Kirk in person. I can't imagine going after the attack on somebody I've never even met in person. She's never done anything directly to you. So why let Candace won't pay your bills? Why let her influence you that bad? Someone gets hurt, then what? Because there's no bringing back Charlie Kirk. And if the same happens to Erica Kirk, God forbid, there's no bringing her back or her kids. So why should we be in agreement with people saying things that are inciting violence and putting people in harm's way? Granted, Candace keeps telling on herself and giving evidence, but there's a price to pay for that. And she will be sued. That's it.
yeah.
We don't care how she feels about that. She's going to be sued. Is that simple? Make sure y'all hitting that like button. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Gil, any
Thank
other
you.
further thoughts that you have? Any other questions? Anything you want to share? Any
Uh,
questions from the audience?
no, no. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure
Oh,
as
no.
always. I hope to see you soon. And bye everyone. Bye everyone in the chat. I love you all. You guys are
Awesome,
great.
awesome, awesome.
You keep me sane in this crazy world. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Oh, shout out to Gil. I'm enjoying this session. You all enjoying yourselves? You all enjoying yourselves? Edie up in the chat. Edie, would you like to hop up, Edie? Eclectic journal. Did I see eclectic journalist up? Edie, if you would like to hop up, come on up, girl. If you can, if you want, it's up to you. Oh my goodness. Now shout out to the whole truth. I enjoy great conversation. And if you're not familiar with Nick Brooks is a fantastic attorney, and his commentary, comprises of him being able to see both sides of the aisle. So he gives both perspectives. He'll say, if I were the prosecutor or if I was the one representing the Macrons, I would say this. If I were the defendant or if I'm representing Candace, I would say this. He just gives both perspectives, to which I think that's, notable to do. And that's what you want. Attorneys, lawyers, they have the right to their own personal opinion of things. But I enjoy his perspectives that he gives from both sides, because what you can do if you're smart and witty enough to is to say, okay, if this is what he would say, from Candace's side, then maybe Macron's or Brian Harper's attorneys can do XYZ to combat that. Maybe they can, if Erica Kirk sues, maybe she should name other huge content creators and Candace's cohorts, like Project Booganose. Yeah, he used to read those for fun. I mean, what do you maybe she should name a couple other people. And who is it? Wolves in Finance. The people they sent TPUSA sent cease and desist letters to. Who else? They sent Candace and Wolves in Finance, Project Booganose, Baron Coleman. I would get his ass. I would get his ass. Baron Coleman would have it. He would have to be named. You giving her all this bogus ass advice, and you doing it under the guise of you being an attorney. No, you get named because you getting her jacked up. But I mean, there are opportunities for her to name more co-defendants now. Ian Carroll, thank you. That's another one. Oh, Edie says she's in Target. All right. Let's see here. Who else? All them people over there on X. You say you back? Oh, you're in Target. Well, the link is there if you would like to come up when you get out, girl. I want to be able to open it up for more people to come up, but y'all know I don't do buffoonery. I don't do buffoonery. But if you guys would like to come up and just speak for a couple minutes, by all means. Just say, speak your piece, give your thoughts. We've had 2 attorneys up in here today. That is amazing. I feel so blessed. 2 attorneys came up here, and they're always available for questions and stuff like that. Hey, Switch, I see you. What's going on? I'm gonna have to push back the other live stream I had scheduled. Obviously, Baron works for Candace. Does he? Oh no! Oh no! Oh, you say you feel lousy. I'm sorry, Tracy. Oh, Mindy's here. Hi there.
Yeah. Hi.
What's going on?
Going up, nothing much. Glad I could help you last night. Sorry,
right?
I look like a hot mess and I'm not turning my camera on right now.
All right, go ahead.
But from last night, I was so disgusted with those 2 ladies that popped in there. And I started thinking last night, like, oh my God, like I should have popped up and just went off on them and say, you know what? You guys are grown ass adult women.
Exactly.
You should be absolutely disgusted and ashamed with yourself
Yeah.
for going after a woman. your entire like
Yep.
Jay Witt says some of the times, your entire house will be burning to the ground, and you're outside with pitchforks and a torch going after someone else when you got your own problems in your own house.
Yep. Yep.
Deal with your own problems. Why are you messing with someone that has no effect on your life? What has this woman done to you guys?
Exactly.
Honestly, what has
Exactly.
she done? Answer that question, because we don't want to hear anything else from any one of you about anything she's ever done with her. Because you know what? We all got crap in our past that we
Mm-hmm.
have done that we're not proud of. And I'm sure she does too.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't give anybody any right to just do this to this poor woman and her children. So that's just, I wish I would have came up there last night and told them that. Like, you women
Outrage.
need to just get
Yeah.
on with your life and just leave this person alone. She's not
Exactly.
bothering you. She's not paying your bills, like you say. Like, it's just disgusting.
Yep. It's disgusting. And it is also, it's so remedial because they're talking about something that she did, before she even got married to Charlie Kirk. It's like
Yeah.
you trying to take away her right to exist and live. As if she didn't
Yeah.
know, she's a very pretty girl. She's very smart. Why would she not have a boyfriend or two or whatever? But if she says I didn't have one in New York, then you trying to, you can't take that type of legal argument. You can't take that argument
Mhm.
to court. It's not a legal argument. You can't take that argument to
Yeah.
court. Say, you honest, she lied about this, this, and this. And it's like, well, let's play the whole video of what she said. And then now you're sitting here looking like Boo Boo the Fool because you're the one that chose to pick and choose what she said out of this clip. But if you play the whole
Exactly.
clip, you understand
Exactly.
in
And
context here. This is what she actually said. So
exactly.
oh man, it's ridiculous.
Well, and and they're not thinking that at that time in her life, she was actually a practicing Catholic. She wasn't an actual, like, on that Christian side of where Charlie Kirk
Mhm.
was. So
Right.
she had totally different perspectives, but was morphing her life in that direction when she met Charlie Kirk. So, I mean, you got to think on the Catholic side, they go and
Mhm.
to see their priest and confess their sins and all this stuff. So it's not fair for you guys to go after this woman for things that she's done in her past, that
Mhm.
she obviously has some regrets, or may have some, that she has forgiven herself over time and has now become a completely different person, because we all change,
Right.
all of
Right.
us.
Yep.
And you have to
Absolutely.
give that form of grace to
Right.
everyone. And I've always preached that to my kids. You be
Mhm.
respectful to everyone. You be grace to anyone, even when they've come across a bully.
Mhm.
Kill them with kindness. Talk to
Mhm.
them, like, say, why are you ask them the questions. Why are you doing this? Like,
Yeah.
is there something I can do to help you? So it's just,
Yep.
I just still feel so bad for those kids and
Yep.
her. And it's just, I mean, I wasn't an avid Charlie Kirk like watcher. Like, I would see his videos on, because I was strictly on Facebook at the
Yeah, I
time.
can
So
watch
I
him
would,
at all, but I don't think he should have his life taken from him like that on national television.
no,
Never seen anybody
no.
do
And
that.
yeah, and there was, I didn't always agree with some of the things that he said. It was
Mhm.
probably like an 80-20, but
Mhm.
I didn't avidly watch him like that, like everyone else. But
Mhm.
I'm not going to condemn somebody for speaking, their truths. And
Mhm.
the one thing I really loved about him was his civil discourse, how he would have those conversations with those people to try
Right.
to get, through to them to see, okay, where can we compromise? And that's
Mhm.
where we as a society, regarding to the left or the right,
Mhm.
we have forgotten that ability to compromise,
Right.
come together as a whole and as a collective and just compromise. So that's just,
Okay.
it's just
I
beyond
understand.
disgusting.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We got Jim
Yeah.
backstage. So
All
what I'm
right.
gonna do
See
is
you.
drop you
I'm
down and
out.
let him up. Thank you so much, man.
Bye,
Shout out to the
guys.
mod y'all up in there.
God bless all y'all and have a good weekend.
Don't leave in the chat. You gonna stay in the chat or
Oh, no,
you
I'm coming back. I
okay,
still
okay,
have it
good.
on my computer. All right, bye.
All right, cool. All right. Welcome, Jim. Happy belated birthday. How you doing?
I am doing great. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. How are you?
I am doing good. A year older, a year of more aches and pains, but you know how it is.
Bless, bless,
Um,
bless still, right?
yes, yes. Now, I've been thinking about this. I don't know if you've been following this story, but there is
Mhm.
a new photo that has come out just recently
Mhm.
that shows a guy on the ground with a handgun, and he's wearing a maroon shirt. And I got to thinking about that. I'm like, it was a public event. What do you have at public events? Usually
Yeah,
you have uniformed officers,
yeah, you do.
but also in the crowd, you have undercover officers
Right.
mingling in with the crowd.
Mhm.
So here's an interesting take on this. You know how Candace is always going off on the maroon shirts. Well, how do
Mhm.
you signify to each other that you are an undercover officer? You try to color coordinate what you're wearing. And that
Mm.
day, they could have been wearing maroon shirts.
But these would be the local police authorities, correct?
Correct. They would be undercover officers in the crowd, mingling within the crowd to make sure that something like this doesn't happen. But as soon as you hear, they said, as soon as you heard the shot, that person with the gun was running directly towards that shot. Well, guess what? If you're an officer, you're going to run towards the danger and try to eliminate the danger.
Right. So they would have all ran backwards. When everybody looked back and started scaring, they would have been running back towards where they thought they heard the shot. But then here's the
Yes.
thing. Here's the problem. You had this other gentleman that was arrested because he started yelling out that he did it. So now you had this distraction that thwarted, even if they were undercover, plain clothes officers. This man started yelling, I did it," and they immediately went towards him and took him down and arrested him. So George
Yeah.
Zen, thank you, Mindy. George Zen. So I think if he had not done that, you're saying the chances of them running back towards where Tyler Robinson was would have been greater, correct?
Yes. And they would have probably caught him. And I hate to say
Mhm.
it, they would have probably have eliminated the threat right then and there.
I could see that happen, especially if he still had that weapon in his hand or in his pants. They would have,
Yes.
yeah. But George Zen, he's a fickle creature. Why do you think he would start admitting to something like that? Did he not understand the gravity of the situation and what occurred?
He probably, I don't know, he was an older gentleman. Could he have been suffering from dementia at that time? And I don't know. It just, there were just so many things happening in the spur of the moment at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And, there were just a lot of things that were going on. It
Right,
was a very fluid situation.
right.
And, I really got to thinking about the maroon shirts. And, if you are undercover, you would want to signify yourself to at least uniformed officers and your fellow undercovers that you would probably be color coordinated.
Yeah. Well,
So,
ideally, I think, but I appreciate you coming up and giving us the insight. And if you want to email me that photo, please do. Email me
yes,
that photo so I can take a look at it and we'll check it out in the next live. If anybody else wants to come up, want to give you guys an opportunity, but y'all wish Jim a happy belated birthday.
you
He had
still
his
owe me that
birthday
song.
yesterday. I owe you that song. I am going to play it today. I forgot last night. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then when I ended it, I was like, oh no, I didn't play the birthday song. So I'm going to end it today with the song. If there's no one else that want to come up, we're going to end it with that song, y'all, because I love the song. It's such a good song.
All right.
So
Thank you very much, LLC. You are so
no
sweet and so
problem.
wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope you enjoyed your day and enjoy your day today again. Keep celebrating the whole weekend now, okay?
Oh, it's going to be hot here. I'm stuck inside all weekend.
Oh, all right. Well, get some movies and get some wine and chill out and say, I'm putting my feet up today.
All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Nice talking to you.
All right. Bye bye. Oh, this has been amazing. We're gonna end out on the song, you guys. I was hoping that Edie would have been able to come on up. Edie, let me know what you're doing, girl. What you doing? I am gonna do a live later on because we got to get this watch party in, y'all. So I want to talk about do that separately, and then talk about the Noah Wells case, because that has a preliminary autopsy, the independent autopsy done. And so I want to check that out, but we'll do a separate live this evening, watch party for the Sean Ryan interview. Because Candace, I got so many jokes that's stored within me, girl. So many jokes within me. I'm going to get it out. But we're going to end this with the birthday song for Jim. You guys make sure you all are hitting that like button and hype this video up at the conclusion of the live stream. Thank you all so much for hanging out and supporting the Lady Luck Club. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to the LLC. If you are on X, make sure you come on over, subscribe to the LLC and the LLC with Sweet Tea. And I appreciate all of you. Did I get all the supers in? Thank y'all so much. Let's end it out right, y'all. Hit the like button on the way out. And this is how we're going to do it. This for you, Jim.
Show me your altos. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jim!